ABC Radio Australia, right across the Pacific. Enjoy your footy.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
As a First Nations athlete with a platform, you do have to use your voice.
Quite frankly, you could argue that this Australian swimming team is as good as Australia have produced.
Fans don't really care much about the balance sheet, they care about the competition ladder.
I can't see David Warner playing any Test cricket beyond these Ashes.
It's a daily sports conversation, and it's called ABC Sport Daily. Find us on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2023 AFL Premiership season.
Marks out to the right, steps on goal, superb finish. Turns, whacks it straight through the middle. Pulls the trigger on goal, and goes bang! 'Cause here it comes, here it comes.
AFL. On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app. Look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming, I know.
It's the AFL's most recent annual fixture, the 8th Anzac Eve match that has fast become one of the game's most important. Every other week of the season, these players play for their club, their teammates, their coach and themselves. Tonight, they play for a whole lot more. Welcome inside a darkened MCG, the Light Horse Troop about to make their way around the ground. It's only lit up at the moment by people's telephone lights as we look out around the MCG. Ben Cameron in commentary tonight alongside Matt Clinch, Adam Ramanauskas, who played 5 times on Anzac Day itself, and Brent Harvey, who's run out on an AFL ground more than anyone else. Matt Clinch, first of all, welcome to you. It's a privilege to be here tonight.
Thanks, Ben. Good evening to everyone. It is an honour and a privilege to be here on what's become a really special occasion on the AFL landscape. The biggest crowd was 85,000 back in 2017. That was also on a Monday night. They're hoping for sort of somewhere around 75 to 80,000 tonight. And it could be 170,000 at the MCG across 48 hours with a blockbuster Anzac Day to come tomorrow. Melbourne lost 17 players in World War I, 13 players in World War II, so 30 players. And you think of the premierships between 1931 and 1941, in which they won 3 flags and 4 members featured in those premierships who weren't able to return after the war. So Sid Anderson, Harold Ball, Ron Barassi Sr., probably the most favourite of a lot of our listeners, and Keith Bluey Truscott. And of course tonight the best on ground will win the Frank Checker Hughes medal. So it is a significant occasion. It feels like football does its part in educating so many people who don't know about this chapter of Australian history.
Which makes sense if you're a young man or a young woman in the country and you need to learn about the Anzacs. Does a book hold more interest, or watching the footy and learning through its agency? I think that's clear. Adam Ramanauskas, you played 5 times on Anzac Day as part of the famous Essendon-Collingwood clash. What does this day, or tomorrow, that day and tonight, mean to you?
I think Clinchy just summed it up really well. Football plays its part in educating, and we need to continue to do that. It was very special, very emotional playing on this day. We're seeing both teams walk out on the ground at the moment. They're going over to a shared banner, and it's just, the crowd are quite quiet because they know the significance of this moment and the ceremony that's about to get underway. So love playing on the day. Feel very privileged to play on the day, considering you talk about, Clinchy spoke about the people, the players that were lost at war, but people that continue to serve. So we're very fortunate that we're able to do this. The players to play and us to call a game.
The Light Horse Troop continue to make their way around the MCG, doing a lap right beneath us, past the benches. They'll go past the punt road end of the ground. It means something different to everyone else. Brent Harvey, what does it mean to you to be here today? Great to have you along.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to play on Anzac Day. We played on Anzac Day weekend. Probably the biggest one that I remember, we played Hawthorn out in Tasmania, and they made a really big day of that one. That was probably the biggest one that I remember playing in front. And I had the privilege of coming here only once for the Anzac Day clash when my brother Shane played one game in 2003, Ranner, which you would have been a part of as well. So I was here for that day, and just sitting at the ground in the stand as a spectator was something that I'll never forget. It was the biggest game that I've ever been to outside of a grand final or a final. The atmosphere was amazing. The significance on the day was absolutely huge, and the way you can pay your respect at the football. And you see it's dark here tonight, and everyone's got their little torches on their phones, and it looks pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to a great game. Hopefully it's played in great spirit.
And both of the clubs today will wear jumpers that commemorate the Anzacs in some way, shape or form. So Richmond, they'll have the wattle flowers comprising the famous yellow sash, paying tribute to those that have served our country. And they'll have the Ode to the Fallen under the AFL logo. They'll also have the list of fallen Richmond players and officials on their back.
And Benny, the clubs have got so much better at that. You look at all the designs of the Anzac Day, Anzac weekend jumpers, but also now local football clubs are getting involved with that also, and money raised goes to the RSL, which is fantastic.
Dion Presti are involved in some of that fundraising during the week as well. For Melbourne, they'll wear a specially designed jumper honouring their club legend Keith Bluey Truscott, who their best and fairest is named after. It's 80 years on from his passing in a Royal Australian Air Force training operation. Before that, he served in a Spitfire plane in Britain, France and Papua. He was known as a courageous pilot. He won the Distinguished Flying Cross and Bar, the Pacific Star and Defence Medal, and also destroyed 16 German planes in combat. So their jumper, it will have a Spitfire, which is at the bottom of their red V on the front. 26 stars are on the jumper, which was the age of which Keith Bluey Truscott died. 5-point star, which was his playing number, and 2 8-point stars, which represent the 2 flags that he won at the MCG. Clinchy, we've watched the light horse troop make their way around the MCG. What are you seeing when you look out right now?
Yeah, well, it's unusual that the two sides are gathered underneath where the cauldron is going to be lit and the umpires are standing in the middle, and it's just become such an occasion. It matches that of Anzac Day, which is a big experience with a big crowd, but when the stadium of the MCG is in complete darkness, it's hard not to be taken away with just the impact in which it has, and the people who come wanting to pay tribute to both the servicemen and women who've died fighting for our country and those who are still serving as well.
So the eternal flame through Wing Commander Michael Oram is making its way up towards the cauldron as the crowd, as Rama mentioned, incredibly quiet, taking in this solemn moment. Here, both of the teams out on the ground, lined up arm in arm. They'll run through a joint banner in a short moment's time after we go through all of the proceedings. As Michael Oram lights the cauldron with the eternal flame. So the observance ceremony, not too far away. Let's take you down to it now.
Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget. Please remain standing for the national anthem of New Zealand, performed by Private Hetty Adams from the New Zealand Army Band. Please remain standing for the Australian national anthem, performed by musician Michaela Felstead of the Australian Army Band.
Australians, oh let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And in the tradition of the Anzac and Mateship, our two teams from Melbourne and Richmond will now run through a joint banner.
A spine-tingling ceremony, the MCG shrouded in darkness as the two teams come together to run through the joint banner. It'd be easy to forget there's a game of football to be played. Adam Ramanaskas and Brent Harvey, we turn our attention to it now. That was something special, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it's hard to turn your attention to it now. That was just unbelievably moving, and just the way they sang both those national anthems was just unbelievable. And then what I love is the respect of the crowd. I think in years gone past, that you get one or two idiots yelling out something, but just the respect now that's shown by the crowd in dead silence. hats taken off. Just full respect. I love it.
You've been there,
yeah.
Adam. What do you go through as a player when you hear the last post, you hear the ode, the national anthem, and then you try and focus in on playing a game?
Well, firstly, it's hard not to be emotional, I think, and there's a number of guys that I played with that had links with relatives that had been to war. So, my great-grandfather had been to war himself, so I didn't know a lot about that, unfortunately, because he was long past when I was born, so you only hear a couple of stories. But then it's now, I think, of trying to refocus. So now they get a bit of time. We're still probably 10 minutes away from the start of this game. I think we start at 7:25, so it's now getting your mind right, I think, and really, okay, what do I need to do in this warm-up? How many run-throughs do I need to do? How many shots at goal do I need? How many targets do I need to hit? So refocusing yourself. There's going to be a big crowd in here, so it's going to be loud, Boomer.
It's I get very envious when I watch American sport because it's so patriotic.
Yeah.
And you watch a lot of sport, American sport too, Rama, and they're so patriotic, not only at big games, but every game.
Yeah, they get emotional. You see the emotion in them.
And you can feel that here tonight and at these special games. We don't do it very often, but when we do it very well. That was a beautiful scene to see the two teams lit up like that in the dark MCG. That was really good to see.
It absolutely was. The football game, some of the team news, no late changes for either of the sides. So Laurie Bailey will be the emergency for Melbourne. He debuted in round 1 against the Western Bulldogs, playing his second game tonight. And Hugo Ralphsmith will be the sub for Richmond. Melbourne coming in off a disappointing loss to Essendon last time out, and Richmond on a 3-game skid. What do we expect?
Well, Richmond have won 1.5 games for the year out of 5, and I'm first to admit I was a believer in Richmond to start this season, but that's starting to waver now. Last week against Sydney, they were in that game for a long time, but really Jack Revolt was their only winner up forward in that game. So the ball went to Jack so often that Sydney were just able to collapse on him in the end and take the ball away easily. It was 7 points to margin at 3/4 time last Friday night, and Sydney ran away with that game in that last quarter, just with power running. They were more classy around goals in that last quarter, more unpredictable. So I think what Damien Hardwick will be disappointed with is probably, it's not so much the clearance, it's what's happening after a clearance. That's what Richmond used to pride themselves on, around that post-clearance possession. That contested football post-clearance, so winning those one-on-ones. I think that's where really the Tigers have lacked, and that's not dissimilar to Melbourne, Boomer. Last week against the Bombers, post-clearance, they were horrible.
Yep.
Essendon just absolutely ran them off their feet. Essendon outnumbered them at most contests around the ground. So I'm a believer in Melbourne as well, but I've got question marks on both these teams coming into the game.
I think we're so used to seeing Richmond play that surge mentality football, and even when they don't win that first stoppage, the pressure is so good, and then it's just a tap on back into the corridor where they know they're going to get the football, and we just haven't seen that from the Tigers. Melbourne are the number 1 scoring team in the competition, averaging over 100 points, 20 more points than they were last year. So they're scoring more, and on the other hand, Richmond have dropped from, I think it was 2nd or 3rd to 15th in scoring. So Rama, just off air before, we were saying, can Richmond kick a big enough score? That's probably my worry tonight. If Dustin Martin doesn't kick a little bag of 3 or 4, and you don't get a couple out of Shea Bolton,
Jack's got to kick a couple, obviously.
And Jack's got to kick a couple as well. So that will get you 9 or 10. But if one of them get held maybe goalless or just one and have a quiet night, I don't know if they're going to kick a big enough score against the biggest scoring team in the competition.
You'd say, if Melbourne are the biggest scoring team, Richmond need to kick 14 or 15 goals tonight.
Absolutely they do.
To be any sort of chance. Now, Melbourne are interesting because they've got Gawn coming back into the team, obviously. But there's no Tom McDonald. Ben Brown played in the reserves yesterday, coming back from that the back injury that he sustained a couple of weeks ago. So how they set up their forward line, I think Bailey Fritsch will come out of the goal square, but then it's Gawn or Grundy, I think, sitting in the goal square as an anchor, and then just get the smalls around them.
They're getting a little bit out of their smalls, though. Chandler, Pickett, they're getting a lot out of Chandler. I think he's been a fantastic find this year. Beautiful leg on him, makes most of his opportunities. So, I think they kick a big enough score. And like you said, Richmond are going to have to kick. Well, Melbourne are averaging 106 or 108 points, I think it is. So, Richmond are going to have to kick a big score to get the win tonight. And I just don't know where those goals are going to come from.
It's always interesting listening to the coaches' press conferences, Damien Hardwick, aware that his side's only won 7 quarters so far this season. So said it's not about the outcome as much for us, it's about how we're playing. And it sounds like at the start of the week challenged each of his individual players to try and bring something to collectively improve the result of the team.
Well, ultimately, the outcome is decided by how you play the game through. Now, like you say, you're 7 quarters for the season, so out of 20. So, you know, they've played 5 games of football, so it's not good. But it's not so much the win-loss record that concerns me. And Dimmer's right. It's the way they're playing. It seems very sort of un-Richmond-like in a sense that you go, well, yep, they won 3 of the 4 premierships previously. But even last year, you look at the momentum they had towards the end of that last year, then they fall in that first final to Brisbane. But you sort of thought, okay, Hopper coming in, Taranto coming in, Dustin Martin does a full type of pre-season, things that will progress, but it's sort of stagnated. Like, they played reasonably well in that round 1 game against Carlton where they were able to draw. But after that, it's been a real challenge, Boo.
They're a completely different team for me. Like, you look at those premiership years where they played that surge mentality and everyone knew what they were doing, but you just can't stop it when good teams are doing that. And you have a look out in the field now and you probably shouldn't highlight, but their bottom 6 is not what their bottom 6 used to be. So it was hard to find a fault in Richmond's team.
Does it change your expectation, Boomer, if they can't match it with a side like Melbourne tonight?
I think my expectations have changed from Richmond already, to be brutally honest with you. I don't think they're a finals team just yet.
The reality is,
what I've seen.
The reality is, you're spot on, Boone. You're only as good as your bottom 6 players.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, during those premiership...
Robert Wall's theory.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like, you look at Geelong last year winning the premiership. Look at tell me who their bottom 6 are. It's really tricky to say, well, that's who it is.
Richmond's bottom 6. Well, Rioli was their bottom 6 a few years ago, wasn't he?
Yeah.
There wasn't really a spot for him before he moved to half-back. He was in and out of the team at half-forward. Now, he's one of their prime movers.
But now, if you go through it, you got, Cumberland, who looks okay, Miller, Mansell, McIntosh, Young, Ryan, Judson Clark, Ralph Smith, Morris Rioli. It's a longer tail than it's been for many years,
and it has to be because they've been so good for so long.
They're developing those players.
It's funny because it's a knock on them right now. But, gee, it was a pump-up, going back 3 years ago.
I actually copped some feedback from a Richmond fan over the fence after my interview with David Teague last week. They said, you didn't ask enough about the Tiger Cubs. Said it's not a rebuild, it's a fusion. You needed to ask more about Judson Clark, Tyler Sonsinko.
Yeah.
So that was just some real-time feedback I received last week in Adelaide.
Feedback over the fence. It'll be interesting to see where Trent Cotchin fits in, because he's been subbed the last couple of weeks. I think it was Damien Hardwick who said he knows where he fits in. The end will come at some stage, but he still thinks he can make an impact. So he's not the sub tonight.
Yeah.
Gets a chance to showcase that in a big game.
It's still 8 away from 300 as well.
8 away, is he? It's a funny one because I've seen a lot. The half-forward spot is very hard to play when you haven't played it for a long time.
I want to bring in Tim Hodges, the best boundary rider in the business, a little early tonight because he's been downstairs taking in that observance ceremony amongst the crowd. Hodgie, good evening to you for the very first time. What was it like down there in the crowd?
Hey Ben, hi team. It's just an amazing occasion and an amazing crowd. Just on the crowd, guys, the MCC has actually bumped up their expectations on the back of this magnificent Melbourne weather today. It is still a balmy 21 degrees down on the boundary. So that crowd figure has been raised to 80,000 people. We are well on the way to that figure. The MCC in particular hasn't been this full since Grand Final day last year. So it's just a thumping crowd, a wonderful atmosphere. It's a real event feel, and it was, Rammer and Boomer were right. It's emotional, even watching the light horsemen troops on the horseback coming across the around the boundary right in front of us. The emotion you could see on their face, and I think they just loved the occasion and the fact that there were so many people here giving such a rich amount of applause. So yeah, to be honest, it sounds corny. It's just an honour to be here tonight and to watch that magnificent pre-match ceremony. You hope that the game lives up to the hype. Just repeating, no late changes. The subs down here for the Demons, it's Bailey Laurie. For the Tigers, Hugo, Ralph Smith. So, yeah, looking forward to hopefully the game lives up to what was an awesome ceremony.
Beautifully summarised, Tim Hodges downstairs on the boundary. He mentioned the weather as well. Beautiful day here in glorious Melbourne today. 24 degrees Celsius, the maximum. It was a fantastic day. Tips, who wins? Boomer, you can begin.
Yeah, I think Melbourne win. I think they win comfortable. I think they can be a goal and a half better team per quarter, so 6+ goals for me.
What about you, Ramo?
Yeah, the D's. I think, I'm hoping I see a different Richmond this week.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. You're hoping the Tigers might have a few tricks left, but at 1-4, if they lose tonight, it might be a chance to reevaluate where they are, Richmond, in season 2023.
Yep, I tend to agree. I think Melbourne should win and should win well. The Tigers coming in on the back of a 3-game losing skid. Melbourne, of course, losing last weekend. We've had the observance, the 8th annual Anzac Eve fixture between Richmond and Melbourne, not too far away from getting started. Usually they're playing for 4 points. Tonight they're playing for much, much more. And to get you started, Melbourne and Richmond, here's Matt Clinch.
Max Gawn is back and he's starting in the middle against Miller of the Tigers. Gawn wins the opening tap. Down to Viney. He's locked up by Taranto and Prestia, and the umpire will ball it up in the outer and centre circles.
If that's a sign of things to come with Max Gawn. He so easily won that first centre hit out.
Gawn wins it down to Hunter, who gets the hand pass to Oliver for Melbourne. Kick smothered by Prestia. Spills the way of Rivers. Hand pass to Hibbert. Knocked it on to Hunter and now to Oliver. Around the members' wing. Hand pass to Petrarca. To Viney, who screws a kick forward. Pickett! Up very early on the back of Bacon. No whistle initially, and then it does come. He was up very early, trying to take the mark of the year in the opening minute, Cozzy Pickett. And the Tigers will take the free kick. Melbourne heading to the the punt road end after Dylan Grimes won the toss and chose the city end. Unlikely for the Tigers.
Rioli kicks towards Pickett. Oh, nice gather and spin across half-back here for Richmond. Sells some candy as well. Handball to Baker. Richmond down the broadcast wing. Martin, little 1-2 with Baker. Forward handball to Taranto on the logo. Fires out a handball to Prestia. He'll snap around the corner looking for a marker. Gawn standing in front, brings it down. And he was taken high by Rewalt. He'll get a free kick, and that's what he so often does, just sitting behind the ball. For the D's, he's got it at left half-back, no score yet.
So Max Gawn looks to send it up to Van Rooyen, who works his way to the front against Grimes. Can't take the mark. Grimes knocks it down to Baker. Ball spills out to Taranto. Hand pass on the members' wing. Cleverly knocked on by Miller, got it to the advantage of Grimes, so that's where it breaks down for the Tigers. Melbourne through Hunter on the wing. Underground hand pass to Petrarca to Van Rooyen, and now to Oliver, dodging and weaving. Tackled by Vlosten, and his kick goes out of play. And it's out of bounds on the full, and Dan Rioli will take the free kick at right half-back. No score through 2 minutes at the end.
It's terrific there by Vlosten. Didn't allow Oliver to cut back inside, just corralled him towards the boundary, forced him into the mistake.
Rioli goes long to the wing off the knuckles of May. It skips out the back close to the boundary line, and Angus Brayshaw is carried out. His brother is actually currently in active service for the Australian military.
Interesting too, straight from the first centre bounce, Rioli went back and Vlosten became a +1, so it looked like Richmond will get a +1 most of the night.
No score through the opening 2 minutes. May knocks it down. Gawn knocks it down. Coming through, Brayshaw, able to gather it. Handball away here. Now Viney, little bouncing handball, gets it away to Hunter. Handball to Brayshaw again. He'll kick around the wing, and Petrarca can mark.
He looks up inside 50. He's got Petty deepest, and Bailey Fritsch as well. Sends it in the Petty direction. Needs a clear Bolter, who tapped it down, but straight into the path of Fritsch, who runs out of room as he's taken out of play by Tyler Young, and a boundary throw in the left forward pocket for the Demons under the Olympic stand. Van Rooyen's going to do the ruck work against Miller. The young Demon. Miller works his way to the front. Knocks it down to the front. Socket off the ground by Taranto, only as far as Clayton Oliver. 60 out from Melbourne's goal. Long towards Fritsch. Broad down. A chance for the Demons. Chandler's onto it. Tackle by Rioli. Great tackle from Dan Rioli. Spills the way of Neil Bullock, who steps on the right, kicks the opening goal. A great hand pass from Ed Langdon just to get it out of the congestion. And Melbourne have the opening goal inside 3 minutes on Anzac Eve at the MCG.
So, Boomer, you mentioned Nick Vlosten being the +1. When you look at that contest at centre wing here, his direct opponent is Neil Bullen. So Neil Bullen comes all the way up into that stoppage. Vlosten drops off. So then the ball's in a bit of it gets forward in a scrappy manner. But I'm watching Vlosten if he ever locates Neil Bullen. never locates him the whole time. Smart play by Neil Bullen. Just waited and waited and waited. Knew Vlosten wasn't going to go near and gets himself in a dangerous spot and kicks the goal.
And that's the matchup that you want to try to get. If Vlosten's going to let a player go up and get lost in the junk, right, it can't be Neil Bullen for Richmond, because he comes back and he impacts. He's such a hard worker. Works super, super hard, and they're the ones Vlosten will get caught on.
Going at a goal a game this year. Ryan goes up, wins the tap over Gawn. Clear and kick from Taranto towards half forward. No mark taken, offhand, spills down, Hunter after it. Martin there for the Tigers, paddles to his own advantage. Goes and gathers at half forward. Gives it off to Pickett. Chips into the pocket. Cochin low down like a slips catch. He marks 5 metres inside the attacking 50, 5 metres inside the boundary line at right half forward.
So he has started as a half forward, Cochin, but straight up into the contest, into the stoppage, as soon as the ball is bounced.
Might just be beyond him, this. He'll elect to set it up towards the hot spot. Rewalt through his hands, comes down at the back. Cumberland onto it, snaps and goes. Cumberland with the instant reply for Richmond. It's one straight 6 apiece through the opening 5 minutes on Anzac Eve on Grandstand AFL at the MCG. Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey.
Well, it's been mirror image. The first 2 goals have been kicked by players getting lost in the traffic, quick snaps for goal and just opportunities goals. But if they're both going to play, if Neil Bullen's going to come up the ground, they're going to let him go. Richmond are going to get a +1, but I think he's going to do a lot of damage up the ground. At the same time, what are they going to do with Cochin? Is he damaging enough up forward just to say, Cochin, you're going to get lost up there? So right now, we know that we know that they want to set the ground up and be spare down back. So mirror image right now, 5 minutes in, scores are a draw. Could be that way for the whole first quarter.
Brent Harvey with you on ABC Sport. A goal apiece through 5 minutes of the MCG. Back in the middle, Ryan's into the ruck work against Gawn. Gawn got the clearance, but the kick was smothered. Hopper with a kick inside 50 for the Tigers. Chasing after it, Miller gathers. Hand pass to Mansell, ran into a dead end. Brayshaw for Melbourne. Hand pass forward to Oliver, trying to dodge and weave his way out. Hand pass to McVee. Hand pass to his own advantage around the southern wing. Down low for Petty, who can't take the mark. Boston for the Tigers. Hand pass to Taranto. Is able to link up with Hopper, and now short through the middle of the MCG, and here's Shea Bolton.
Kicks inside 50 and Rewalt on the end of it. He hugs it to his chest, 35 metres out directly in front.
Well, they're trying to reset Melbourne defenders. That's what happens. Turnover in the middle of the ground. You just got to go. You've got to go against Melbourne really quickly. And the hit-up target is the most dangerous against Melbourne's defence. They love to zone off. They love to help each other out.
A bandage on his forehead from last week. He was left with numerable stitches. Comes in from 35 out. He tugs it left. A minor score. First blemish of the night for either side. Richmond take the lead with that behind. They're 1-1-7. Melbourne 1 straight 6. 7 minutes played. Opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Fantastic work rate by Nick Rewalt then. Trying to get all the R's out there, remember? Work rate by Nick Rewalt was fantastic. Jack Rewalt, I should say. Fantastic to get May on the lead.
Stephen May brings Melbourne back into play. Short kick to Sparrow, who marks on the defensive 50. Looks into the middle of the ground. Jordan offers a lead. He marks. Still at left half back. Hand pass around the back to Sparrow. Up towards Cozzy Pickett, who didn't complete the mark in front of Dan Rioli. Petrarca inboard to Hibbert. Trying to jam it on his boot. It's smothered. Well done by Miller of the Tigers. It spills the way of Marlon Pickett. Trying to knock it on to Shea Bolton. Retreats back to Taranto. He's tackled by Petrarca, who pinches the footy. Jams it onto his boot. It won't have the journey. And Noah Bolter marks 10 metres out from the Tigers' defensive goal.
On the last line, he goes laterally and finds McIntosh. McIntosh will look long towards the great southern stand wing. Going up Miller, one hand to it. Can't drag in the mark. Now the cavalry arrive. Mansell, Oliver. He knocks it out. Chandler onto the footy for the D's. Handball a little errant. Jordan's there to mop it up. Gives it off to May, who kicks really short to Chandler. Has to pick up on the half volley and kick around his corner.
And he does just that. Spots up a target. Fritsch inside 50. Here's Max Gawn on the lead. He marks slightly right of centre and will kick from right on 50.
He's backing himself, the big fella. He's got the leg on him. Yeah, right.
Be a good first up test for Max Gawn, who missed the last 3 matches with that knee injury. We get to see Gawn and Grundy again together for the first time since round 2. And the Melbourne captain looking to lead from the front. Having kicked 2 goals back in round 1, this was the hope that he'd be able to strike forward more. Gone from right on 50, comes in, it's a good-looking kick, and it just fades left and clips the post on the way through, and scores a level at 1-1-7 apiece through 9 minutes in the opening term.
Max Gawn, of course, back from that MCL sprain in round 2 against Brisbane. Much better than we thought it might have been when we saw him down in the rooms that night. Loston with the kick in, long towards Pickett. He can't quite drag in the mark. Coming through Judson Clark. He can't quite gather either. Now Martin shovels out a handball. Clark gets onto it this time. Handball's back into the corridor. Sparrow picks it up for the D's though. Turnover, gives it off towards Petrarca, who kicks to Gawn. And he'll get a take 2. The mark set 47 out. He won't. He'll go into the pocket for Fritsch. And it skips away from him out of play. Throw in left forward pocket for the D's.
I just wonder who the best matchup is for Gawn when he goes forward. But Tyler Young is only very early in his career. It feels like the better matchup would be Noah Bolter. Bit stronger, bit more experienced, bit more athletic.
Gawn flicks it over the back with Melbourne in attack, looking for Petrarca. There's nowhere to go as Dan Rioli lays the tackle.
Like marks inside 50 are worth their weight in gold. Gawn's already taken 2.
Tyler Young in just his 5th game for the Tigers. Kicked off the ground by Shea Bolton, clears the congestion. A chance for Judson Clark for the Tigers. Hand pass to Pickett, feeds it inboard to Taranto. Up the members wing looking for Martin. Hibbert spoils it away from Melbourne. May put his head down, was taken high by Jack Revolt. Melbourne will take the free kick between wing and half back in the hands of Stephen May, and marked at 1-1-7 apiece.
You just called Dustin Martin's name, make no mistake. Michael Hibbert came back in the team specifically for that matchup tonight.
The D's on the switch, out towards the Great Southern Stand wing is where they go. As they work it down there slowly, Jordan takes the mark between wing and right half forward, gives the handball off to the running man Langdon. He drives it long inside 50, and coming up, Ryan takes a strong defensive mark there for the Tigers and moves it on quickly.
She's good kick for Ruckman.
Yeah, towards right half back and right onto the chest of Judson Clark.
One of the new Tiger pups playing his 7th AFL game of footy. On the big stage of Anzac Eve, sends it up towards Martin. Lever flies in the end, over the top of Jack Revolt. And it spills out of play in front of the 2 benches for a boundary throw-in.
Christian Petrarca's just patrolling that middle of the ground. He's coming off now, but he's just patrolling that middle of the ground. And gee, strong rammer. It's good coming to football and watching good players live, isn't it?
He doesn't get taken to ground too often in tackle.
Holds his feet, gets the ball off at his ease.
Ryan works his way to the front against Brodie Grundy from the throw-in, but it's Cozzy Pickett who kicks up towards Gawn. Good body positioning in the end, done by Young. He wins the battle, but kicks it straight back up the wing. And Brodie Grundy takes the mark.
He's got to give that, Grundy. Give it to Rivers.
Played in 6 Anzac Day matches for the Pies. Kicks to half forward. Oliver with hands on it. Vlosten swats it out of his hands. Gets it for the Tigers. Handball away to Judson Clark. To Samson Ryan, a little bereft. Gets it on the boot. His kick fortuitous. It lands with Cumberland on the logo. He'll go long inside 50 for the Tigers. May outbodies Rewalt and takes the mark. Rewalt with a glare that says that wasn't to my advantage. 1-1-7 apiece.
Comes in more for Sparrow, who's called to play on. Cochin comes charging at him. Kicks up the wing looking for Hunter, who spoils it in the end away from Cumberland. And out of play at right half forward for the Tigers.
And Benny, you're right. It wasn't to Revolt's advantage, but don't call for it. Because there's two Melbourne opponents there.
It was a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
You very rarely see Melbourne with a high ball 1-on-1. They've always got that spare coming across to defend. So Revolt has to be a little bit unselfish tonight.
After 2 goals in the opening 5 minutes, no score for the last 7. Shea Bolton with a hand pass inboard to Dan Rioli. Works it away to Jaden Short, almost tackled and brought down his kick to half forward, and Sparrow's going to take the intercepting mark for Melbourne. Hand pass to Lever, almost run down.
Gives it off to Lever, who gets it onto Jordan, chips it out to the wing, and the mark taken out there by Chandler on that left leg. Looking for Petty or Fritsch, or they spoil each other. They got in each other's way. It's knocked away there by Grimes. Petty will go back and pick it up. Gives it off to Oliver. Centering ball. Can it find Viney? It can. Viney backpedaling, trying to locate the footy. It wasn't spinning like a perfect drop punt, but Viney's able to mark it 25 out directly in front.
A little bit lucky there, Melbourne. Fritsch called Petty out of it.
Yeah.
He should have just said, come back, you mark it, get a handball receive on his left foot. But a little bit of discommunication from the Melbourne forwards there.
That's unlike Pickett. He usually loves contact there, so I think he looked after Jack Viney in that situation, because he could have comfortably got to that contest.
Not a noted goal kicker. He slips over as he kicks it, but drives it through the middle. Didn't quite stick the landing, but got the important part right. It's goal for goal early on Anzac Eve. Adam Ramanaskas and Brent Harvey.
That ball started from half-back from Sparrow, I think it was, who took that intercept mark. It was a really bad press by Rioli. He left the Melbourne players out in the wing on his own. If he didn't press, he had nowhere to go to. He was probably going to have to kick to a 50-50. So little bits of work to do by the Tigers defenders there.
Just early in this game, boom, Melbourne already up to 10 inside 50s. Richmond only the 4. Christian Petrarca, who you mentioned, has got 4 inside 50s himself, so really working well.
He's winning that ball through that 70 to 80 metre zone through the corridor where it's the most dangerous. If he wins the ball there, you know he's such a good ball user and decision maker that he's going to make something happen. You don't want him getting 12, 13, 14 inside 50s. You know you're in trouble.
2-1-13 to 1-1-7 the way of the D's early on.
Grundy wins down the tap back in the middle, but it's Miller who tries to get the clearance. Ran into Jordan, holding the footy. And Melbourne through Viney take the advantage. Hand pass to Brayshaw. Driving kick inside 50. Petty the target. Bolter spoils it down for the Tigers. Neil Bull in front centre. Good tackle laid by Taranto and a throw. We'll see Richmond rewarded at half back. Shaden Short back in the Tigers. In fact, it's Baker who's going to take it for Richmond on the paint of the defensive 50. Sends it out to McIntosh, who marks at left half back. Melbourne by a goal.
McIntosh assesses what's before him. Nothing he likes at the moment. He'll go back towards fullback. Kicks good here for Jaden Short. The switch is on. Out to Vlosten at right half back for the Tigers. Vlosten will go for a little stroll. Then he'll kick long towards the wing. In the Mansell direction. Mansell can't mark. Rivers in front. Pickett coming through. He's tackled quickly. Taken to ground and we'll get a ball up between wing and right half forward. D's lead by a goal. 2-1 to 1-1. 16 minutes and change in the opening term.
Christian Petrarca and Tim Taranto both with 6 disposals early as it's thrown up. Ryan wins down the tap to press here at the Tigers. Hand pass boundary side. Everyone thought it was going out. Petrarca picks it up. He's tackled over the line by Tim Taranto. Not far from where Tim Hodges is watching on.
Clint, you're just keeping an eye on the Tigers. They've got the boot bag out, so every player comes off. They're being offered, if they want to change their boots. Dylan Grimes, the captain, the latest to change his boots. So there is a serious dew out there. It's very slippery.
Thanks, Hodgie. Grundy one down the tap, but it's Martin of the Tigers. Hand pass to Shea Bolton. Driving kick inside 50. Mays waiting for it. McVee put the block on, and Cumberland might have been impeded. Wasn't able to fly in the marking contest. So a situation Melbourne had well and truly under control. But in the end, a bit of an experience showing, and Cumberland will get a shot on goal.
It was really silly play there by McVee. He had really good position. All he had to do was just hold him out. And he elected to get that little bump. Cumberland played it well, I think. There probably wasn't a huge amount in it, but just enough to put him to ground.
The fourth-year Tiger with Richmond's opening goal so far of the match. Can he double up here on a 45-degree angle, kicking from about 20 metres out? Cumberland comes in and sprays it badly out to the left and just scrapes it in for a minor score in the end. They might go upstairs just to check. And a 50-metre penalty. Always got out of jail there.
Who was that against?
I can only assume...
On the mark, was it?
Well, Stephen May's on the mark, but... Is it against Jake Lever? Second chance for Cumberland. He makes no mistake. Over the Richmond cheer squad and up to the second tier for his second.
So does he get the behind as well?
I don't think so. It locks us up at 2-1-13 apiece through the opening 18 minutes and a blemish, which is marked off the budget, off the record, and a goal next to his name for his second.
Well, let's have a look here on the replay that we've got use of. Yeah, the free kick, there wasn't much in it. Just didn't need to do it though, Ramo. It was silly play. Jumped forward on the mark, it looked like.
So 2 on the mark with Lever and May.
Oh, no, that's...
And he's jumped over the mark.
That hurts, doesn't it? That's a gimme goal. It's a gimme goal. They need a couple of gimme goals.
Jesus,
why doesn't he get the behind?
Because I think because it was on the mark.
As he kicked it. So you either get the advantage or you get the shot.
So levers come inside the 5 metre zone. That's why the 50 was given.
From the restart, running by. Bolton kicks towards half forward here for the Tigers. Getting onto it, Morris Rioli Jr. kicks laterally across the 50. Now Jordan's there to mop up the D's. His handball away to Oliver. He almost loses it. He's able to get a kick away towards the wing. Coming up, Baker's there to mop up for the Tigers. Handball to McIntosh. Handball away to Prestia. Now forward of the wing, Richmond. He kicks towards Cochin. He marks 60 metres out from goal. Now they need the money kick. Inside attacking 50. Cochin will just play on. He'll set it up towards a central sort of position and spot up Hopper. He marks 45 metres out, as good as directly in front.
He just looks a lot more active tonight, Trent Cochin. A bit more bouncy on his toes, back straight, upright, involved, encouraging. Good signs for Cochin, the Tigers.
One of the 2 big-name recruits for Richmond in the off-season. Arcs out to the right for the extra journey. Right on 50. He drills it through. Back-to-back majors for Richmond. And they lead by a goal. 3-1-19 plays 2-1-13. Richmond leading the D's. Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey.
There's a real subtle play there by Baker. He just screened Petrarca off that ball that Trent Cochin kicked. If you want someone kicking the ball inside 50, Ramo, Trent Conchin's not a bad choice for the Tigers. He's such a great decision maker. He's got that little touch, that kick that just goes to the advantage of the player.
He doesn't give it away with his eyes, his kick.
That was a late change of direction by him as well. I reckon there's a huge improvement over the whole league of that last kick inside 50 from the first 5 or 6 rounds that I've seen. And Trent Cochin is very, very good at it.
Brent Harvey, Adam Ramanauskas, Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron and Tim Hodges with you on Monday Night Footy. Back in the middle, neither ruck got a touch to it, but Ryan was impeded and you'll get the free kick against Max Gawn. Thought about the hand pass to Short.
Kick it in there.
Runs through the mark. Sends it out towards half forward. Not a great kick for Clark, who flies against Langdon. Free kick going Melbourne's way.
I don't understand that kick by Samson Ryan. It's just get it in deep inside forward 50.
Give it to the runners or get it in.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So Clark was trying to go back with the flight. So free kick goes the way of Langdon. Short to Sparrow and now to Bowie, who has it at right half back for the Demons. Looks around the southern side of the MCG. Long driving kick. Gawn comes in from the side. Petty was down before the ball came. Noah Bolter for Richmond. Sends it back from where it came. Revolt flies and marks on his chest uncontested.
He wants to go quickly. Nothing he likes at the moment.
Stephen May's sitting back there, Benny. So he has to wait.
Chips it short. Good kick to Judson Clark. What can he find on that left leg?
A lot of numbers now roll back into Richmond's forward 50.
So he wants to pull his kick into the middle of the ground at the last moment. It bounces off the chest of Bolter on the bounce. He then gathers. Handball away to Baker, who swats it down to Short. Low ball towards full forward. Dusty with one hand. Can't take the mark. Now coming through, Cochin gathers to Prestia, to Cumberland for 3 in the first quarter. Cumberland snaps it through. The Tigers are up and about on Anzac Eve. 4-1-25, they lead Melbourne 2-1-13. Late in this first term on Grandstand AFL, 22 and a half minutes in.
So 10 minutes into this quarter, Boom and Melbourne had 10 inside 50s. We're now 23 minutes gone, they've had 1 since. So the ball this last 13 minutes has simply lived in Richmond's forward line.
And it's been through centre bounce clearances too. I think Richmond have had the last 3 or 4 clearances, got the ball going their way and defended quite well on the way out. Don't worry about Richmond being up and about, Benny. I think it's Cumberland that's up and about. He's kicked 3 of the 4 goals. He's been on fire. A hard matchup. I'm just trying to see who's going to him now.
It's Hibberd.
Oh, Hibberd, yep.
But Hibberd's... So if Dustin Martin's deepest, Hibberd's on Dustin Martin. If Cumberland's deepest, it's Hibberd on Cumberland. So
isolating.
Tough ask for Hibberd.
All of a sudden, the Tigers out by 12 points. Bounce flared out to the right. It wasn't recalled. Gawn spiked it forward to Neil Bullen, who hand passes back into the centre square to Gawn. Driving kick looking for Petty or Van Rooyen. Van Rooyen got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Short for the Tigers. Hand pass out in front of Dan Rioli. Tries to tap it on to the advantage of Judson Clark. Short will have to try and go back in and win it. Somehow volleys it kicked forward up towards halfback. Melbourne waiting for it in Bowie. Driving kick inside 50. Van Rooyen's there. Bolter in front. Had almost enough of it. Umpire said no mark. Hand pass comes from Young. Straight to Neil Bullen. Off the outside of the boot across the face of goal. And misses to the left-hand side. It was almost going to be a big penalty to pay. In the end, it was just behind. The Tigers lead by 11 points.
Got out of jail there, the Tigers.
Short taking the kick in, long towards Grimes. Chandler going up. Gave away the free kick. So Grimes will have it at right half back. Lead by 11 points. Richmond, 3 first quarter goals to Noah Cumberland. Long kick towards the wing. May behind Rewald, holding free kick. Advantage taken. Pickett nearly run down. Gets it forward to Martin. Long kick towards Rioli Jr. He can't take the mark. Spoilt down there by McVee. Roving Rivers gives it off to Hibberd. Kicks into the middle of the ground. And finds Fritsch, who gives it back to Hibberd.
He ran into a dead end. Dan Rioli lays the tackle. Hand pass out to the members wing for Angus Brayshaw. Running away from Trent Cochin, who put pressure late. The kick looking for Fritsch or Van Rooyen back with the flank. Can't take the mark. It's picked up by Young of Richmond. Hand pass to Dan Rioli. Around the boundary line for Cochin, who slipped over. He gathers the footy. Hand pass to Dustin Martin. Screws it back looking for Tim Taranto. He takes the mark. Just in front of Rivers, backpedaling, centre wing member side. Hand pass to Rioli. He's got Marlon Pickett free. Gathers in front of Gawn into the pocket. Cumberland the target. Can't take the mark. McVee hard against the boundary line. Hand pass back to Lever, who gives it to Stephen May under pressure. Awkward bouncing ball for Hunter. And Jack Rebold is happy to see it out of play.
I'll tell you what,
45 metres out from Richmond's goal.
This game's quick. Very, very quick, fast-paced. Both teams want to move the ball. Both teams want to give that handball receive. Richmond look good. They look really good.
Very good, don't they?
Yeah.
Willing to give that ball, willing to pressure. It's on.
Forward 50 stoppage. Gawn knocks it down. Soccering it on there is Martin. Hunter, though, gets a clearing kick for the D's towards the wing. Petty brings it down. Now coming through Van Rooyen. Handball away to Sparrow, to Viney. Little bouncing handball away to Petrarca. Tackled by Pickett. Pickett's onto him. He drives him into the turf and holding the ball.
Just a little slip there by Petrarca. Just cost him.
So Richmond with it on the wing. Pickett kicks long. Gawn getting back. Can't take the mark. Hibbert at the fall of the ball. Squeezes out a handball. Off to Lever. Handball over his shoulder. Shark by Dusty. Dusty from the pocket. He's hit the post.
Come back the other way.
That would have been something else. He had I think they call it the banana, don't they? The check side slash the banana. It does the double bend.
It does. If you actually keep that ball, the ball's got to find its rhythm back, and it falls the other way. You're actually spot on there, Benny.
You're making up words.
No. See, Boomer.
I'm not sure about the banana, but I know exactly the kick you're talking about.
What was it the other week? Nizzle or something you used? Or?
All the key Tigers are getting involved as May's long kick up to the wing. Taranto picks it up for Richmond. Off the hands of Gawn. Hand pass to Hopper. Kicks out towards Cumberland. He's got it again. He'll shoot from outside 50 out to the right, but he is a long-range kick.
Oh, don't pass it. Have a shot. You've got 3. You've got 3 with a minute to go. Go back. You've got this distance in you, and you slot it.
Never a truer word spoken. That from Brett Harvey.
Come on, you're a forward.
He kicked 5 against the Brisbane Lions back in 2020. Of course, that was the week after the draw, and he had the footy in his hands as the siren sounded. This is for a 4th first quarter goal. Noah Cumberland from outside 50, shuffles to the left and unloads. It's out to the right-hand side, and this time out of bounds on the full, failing to score. Tigers leading by 12 points, 27 minutes gone, opening term. Richmond with the last 3 goals of the match.
He kicked the hell out of that ball. It went 6 rows back. He had the distance in him. He didn't need to get the extra distance.
Hibberd with the kick in the direction of Gawn, who has a lot of it, doesn't quite complete the mark, gets it back on the bounce. He's wrapped up. Got his hands to a few early on, Max Gawn, without sticking them. Ball up here at right half forward for the Tigers. Hopper goes after it at ground level. Handball looking for Prestia. Martin tries to get involved. Brayshaw comes through, gets it out. Now Viney. Handball back to McVie. McVie will kick towards the wing for the D's. In the penny direction. Grimes is at the back. Takes the intercept mark. 2 goals is Richmond's lead. 4-2 plays 2-2. 28.5 into the first.
In his 14th year, the 3-time Premiership Tiger, Dylan Grimes, is captain tonight. Up towards Rewald, who flies. Gorn got hands to it. Cochin stayed down. Jams a kick inside 50. Lever runs onto it. Cumberland lays the tackle. Spills to Taranto. Hand pass away to Mansell. On the left. Over the shoulder. Puts it through. The Tigers are the last 4 in the match. And they're out by 18 points, giving Melbourne everything they've got. 5-2-32 to the Demons, 2-2-14. 29 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport.
Just an opportunist goal there. You know, I love that by Cochin because it's just that little kick. Little tight, just get it out, just get it forward. You know, put Melbourne's defenders under pressure. We know Melbourne are a system defence, the way they want to set up. They don't necessarily want to play on a man. They want to really guard space, but when a scrappy kick comes through, you've got to be first to the ball.
Well, I reckon we've seen 3 goals like that. Cumberland's first goal was certainly like that as well. So, and you're spot on about Melbourne's defence. They are a set defence. They like to be really structured, one behind the ball to help support. So when the ball comes in a little bit different, chaos. It's game on.
Umpire lays it down in the middle.
I wonder how much that Viney 50-metre penalty might have, the Lever 50-metre penalty might have rattled them for a settled defence.
Got an SMS about that. We'll get to it in a moment. Gorn lays it down from the restart. Prestia coming through. Pickett 2. Shovels out a handball to Morris Rioli Jr. Breaks 1 tackle. Gets a handball away. He doesn't. The umpire says holding the ball. Petrarca pins him.
They need to get to it's got to be Science to go here.
So quarter time in the Anzac Eve match between Melbourne and Richmond. And Richmond with the last 4 goals of the quarter are giving Melbourne everything they can handle. Cumberland with 3 first-term goals. So the goal kickers, Cumberland with 3, Mansell and Hopper with singles, Alex Neil-Bullen and Jack Viney, the only goal kickers for the D's. As I said, we've got an SMS coming in around that 50-metre penalty. You can send us your text, 0437 774 774. That's 0437 774 774. Let us know where you're listening. Be sure to put your name and whereabouts you are, and possibly let us know if you're going to a service tomorrow morning and where you'll be heading. We'd love to hear that here on Anzac Eve. You are listening to Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming through the ABC Listen app. This is Grandstand AFL.
For extreme entertainment, stream comedy whenever you like on ABC iView. That's so cool. Extreme feel-goods with Ghosts, Ronnie Cheng International Student and Summer Love.
Never hold back, kids.
Extreme funnies from the Melbourne International Comedy Festival.
That means a lot.
And extreme good times with Starstruck, Peep Show and Fisk.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's Extreme Comedy Gold.
So cool.
And you can stream it all for free on ABC iView. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Chandler's onto a tackle by Rioli. Great tackle from Dan Rioli. Spills away at Neil-Bullen, who steps on the right, kicks the opening goal.
He'll elect to set it up towards the hot spot. Rewald through his hands, comes down at the back. Cumberland onto it, snaps and goes. Cumberland with the instant reply for Richmond. Gives it off to Oliver. Centering ball. Can it find Viney? It can. Not a noted goal kicker. He slips over as he kicks it, but drives it through the middle.
Driving kick inside 50. Mays waiting for it. McVie put the block on, and Cumberland might have been impeded. And a 50-metre penalty. Always got out of jail there. Second chance for Cumberland. He makes no mistake.
Cochin will just play on. He'll set it up towards a central sort of position and spot up Hopper. He marks 45 metres out, as good as directly in front. Narks out to the right for the extra journey. Right on 50. He drills it through. Back-to-back majors for Richmond. Now coming through, Cochin gathers to Prestia, to Cumberland for 3 in the first quarter. Cumberland snaps it through. The Tigers are up and about on Anzac Eve.
Spills to Taranto. Hand pass away to Mansell. On the left, over the shoulder, puts it through. The Tigers in the last match.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Great to have your company here on Grandstand AFL. The stadium has just erupted because the gentleman out on the ground has kicked a 30-metre kick into the barrel for $10,000 cash for his local footy club. We will break into regular programming for that. How
What
good
a
was
kick. That was an unbelievable kick.
I tell you what, they want to say their cash. They should say to him, if you kick it in there again, I'll give you another 10 shots. And we'll double the money for you.
Well, remember the bin of balls?
The willy bin.
We always have pot shots of that.
We still do it. We still do it at the Kangas. We line all the boys up, number order, and say, rightio, whoever gets it in, someone will buy him lunch or whatever. No one gets it in.
Well, that bloke, whoever his local club is, someone the Kangaroos.
They've got a Kangaroos jumper on, but with sort of blue and gold.
He should not have to buy a beer for the rest of the year at his local club.
That is unbelievable.
Good on him.
He's pretty happy with himself too, and so he should be as he saunters off. Quarter time here on Grandstand AFL, round 6 from Anzac Eve. I might just check in with Timmy Hodges, who was down there on the boundary while all of that was going on. Did you realise what was happening, Hodgie?
It was funny, Benny, watching the players' reactions. They were just about getting prepared for their quarter-time address, and then they were all looking up at the scoreboard like all of us because there was such a loud roar from this 80,000-strong crowd. They were all cheering for that one bloke who kicked it in the barrel. So well done. I just wanted to ask the boys while I'm on, guys, is just Dusty Martin. He changed his boots and he just looks switched on. Maybe it's the crowd and the big stage and the Monday night. He'll know there's big ratings. As silly as that sounds, but this is Dusty's sort of stage, and it seems like he is on more so than at any stage this season. And you can see almost the trepidation with the Demon defenders when it does go in there, and that's why others like Cumberland and Mansell have been able to bob up and kick goals.
Yeah, you're spot on, Hodge. I think you can add Trent Cotchin to that as well. I thought his quarter was terrific. Martin's had the 8 possessions in that quarter. Cotchin's had the 5, but they're all forward to centre, which I think is most important for those two guys. When they do play well and Richmond do win, they're getting a lot of their possession forward to centre. Where Richmond were able to get really on top in that quarter was the ground ball gets. 27-19 in their favour, and again, a lot of those in the forward half. They caused forward half turnovers. Boomer and I spoke a lot about system, and Melbourne like to play system. The way you beat a system is with chaos.
Yep.
And I think Richmond, that quarter, played a bit of just chaos football where it was scrappy. The ball was going inside 50 along the ground, and it just happened to catch the Melbourne defence just out of sync.
Well, if you kick the ball deep inside and you know that they're going to get a +1, the ball's coming in the ground 9 out of 10 times. So if you hit up on them, it's going to change the whole thing. Just before we get started in this second quarter, Benny, I'd love to know what words that you have chosen to run with the shanana. Is that the banana and the check side?
Yeah, check side and banana.
So what's the difference?
Banana.
Yeah, but isn't a banana and a check side the same?
You're making it up.
Isn't a banana and a check side the same?
It's from Luke Bruce. I didn't make it up. Luke Bruce calls it the Chinana.
The Chinana. Sorry, I'm getting it wrong.
It hasn't caught on.
Well, take it up with Brewsty. Second quarter underway. Richmond leading by 18 points. They've kicked the last 4 goals of the game. They'll get the clearance here too. Taranto long inside 50. Sport away by May, holding free kick.
It's against Stephen May.
Rewald will get it, and the mark will be set 40 metres out.
You know what he does? He body spoils. He body spoils.
Yeah, he's got a fair bit of jumper there.
Yeah, he has.
Stephen May at the front. So, look, I think that happens in a lot of marking contests. So, maybe a little bit unlucky, but he won't do it again.
Rewald crossing the 50, boot to ball from 49. His drop punt is away to the right. Let off. We have the Melbourne fans down at the punt road end today. The Richmond fans at the city end of the ground. Doesn't quite feel right, but Richmond, as it stands at the moment, leading by 19 points, early stages of the second.
As the Tigers' highest opening quarter of the season so far, as Bowie sends it long towards Grundy and Gorn. Neither can get a hand to it. Spills to Bolter. The hand pass to Short. Around the back to Hopper. Sends Richmond inside 50 once more. Towards Miller. Got a hand to it. Couldn't take the mark. Hibbert's onto it. Thought he was tackled when not in possession. And he'll get the free kick just as Judson Clark was about to fire on goal. Back in the Melbourne lineup. Not a great kick to Oliver. He just pulls in the mark. Shea Bolton was looming. Bounces off him and sends a high ball around the southern wing. Gorn the target. Noel Bolter's there. Through the hands of Bolter and Cosy Pickett's onto it. He dodges and weaves the tackle. Gets away from Young. Looks up towards half forward. Petty the target. It won't get to him. And he charges into Grimes, who pushes him away in the middle of the chest. Unhappy with the high contact from Petty. Thankfully, Dylan Grimes is okay to take the kick. Goes short to Young.
That's 50.
You think so? It's late, if nothing else. And high.
Young will retreat all the way back to short inside the defensive 50. Gets it onto Vlosten, who goes to the wing.
They're doing this well, Richmond. Taking Melbourne's zone from side to side, trying to move them, trying to pick holes in it.
McIntosh then goes short in turn. Back to short. He tries to get it to Vlosten. It just gets there. A little fumble, though, under pressure from Jordan. Time to recover. Off to McIntosh, who will get it on the left. Long kick towards Rewalt. Can't take the mark. He bit at the fall of the ball for the D's. To Grundy. Little bit of a hospital hand pass. Now they swarm the Tigers. Cochin onto Ryan to Taranto. Flying shot is poor. Misses the lot. Out of bounds on the full. And the D's will get it back. They lead by 19 points, the Tigers. 2.5 minutes into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
They deserved a little bit more from that. Cochin's effort to pressure and keep the ball alive in the Richmond forward 50 was amazing.
Bowie has it for Melbourne at the punt road end. Sends the Demons out of defence. Up towards Grundy. Spoiled down by Grimes. Spills the way of Van Rooyen. Hand pass away to Neil Bullen and Deviney. Gets it away to Brayshaw at centre-half back. Driving kick up towards half-forward. Petty is the target. Right there, Bolter gets a fist onto it. Jordan tries to knock it forward from Melbourne. Racing back, Noah Bolter to offer support. Good tackle, Petty. Footy spills clear. Umpire waves play on. Petty goes back after it with McIntosh over the footy. And in the end, Jordan just knocks it out of play. The Melbourne fans under the Ponsford stand thought maybe it was a good tackle late, not paid, and a throw-in 45 metres out from the Demons' goal.
It was a great tackle. That was dropping the ball every day of the week from what we've seen in the first 5 rounds.
Umpire spins it in. Ryan backhands it down towards Taranto. Bolton coming through. Little 1-2 with Taranto. Now down the broadcast wing. Handball to Cochin. Handball to McIntosh. He'll kick the Tigers into the middle. Opens it up for short. Did he play on? Umpire says no. Handball for Rioli. Petrarca there with him. Coming the other way and getting involved, Rivers. Knocks it back to Petrarca. Quickly the other way, the D's. Pickett's out the back. He can gather in the pocket. Bolter just got a hand on him. Pickett bounces up, snaps, goes, and lets Bolter know about it. Quick and slick and doing the trick, the D's out of the middle. 5-3-33 Richmond. Melbourne closed to 3-2-20. 4.5 minutes into the second on Grandstand AFL.
There's one handball in the middle of the ground that absolutely crucifies the play there, Rammer. It's Jaden Short, misses Rioli. If he hits that handball, Richmond go in because they're on a fast play. We spoke about the Melbourne defence being under pressure. They would have been under all sorts of pressure. Instead, the ball goes the other way and Pickett's got 20 metres of space. It was a great effort in the end by Bolter, but too classy by Pickett. Just that one handball. It's a game of inches sometimes, isn't it?
Up to 9 goals for the season. Cosy Pickett. And normally when he's out the back, he's not going to be caught. Noel Bolter almost got him. He brushed the tackle to finish the goal. Back in the middle, Grundy and Ryan. Spills down the way of Grundy, gets the hand pass over the top. Viney soccers it forward, but Dan Rioli for the Tigers. At centre-half back, hand pass away to Bolton, to Martin through the middle. Dusty towards full forward. Cumberland and Riewoldt are both there. May gets a spoil onto it. And it goes out of play in the right forward pocket for the Tigers. Richmond by 13 points. They're 5-3-33 to Melbourne 3-2-20. Tigers with 16 inside 50s to Melbourne's 15. The ball's tossed back into play. Grundy in front position against Miller. Gets the hand pass away to Viney, to Lever. The hand pass to Rivers. Chip kick to Petrarca. Away to Viney with a hand pass at half-back.
He'll kick towards the wing. Spoiled away there by Miller. Unable to gather there is Rioli. Taranto can handball errant though. Straight to Sparrow of the D's. He's tackled to ground. And we'll get a ball up. Virtually on the logo on the Great Southern Stand side of the ground. Richmond by 13 points. Tommy Caloundra says enjoying the call on Anzac Eve. Keep your text coming with your name and where you're listening. Oliver gets it out of the congestion. Short goes in there for the Tigers. Now Taranto tries to extract it. Sparrow tries again. Not coming out just yet. We'll go again. The Hill family are listening from Sandringham. Tigers fans and in Canberra at the moment, heading to the dawn service at the Australian War Memorial tomorrow.
Great stuff. 0437 774 774 is the SMS line. Shea Bolton to Dan Rioli. Clark run down by Pickett. Great tackle. Quick as a flash. Shea Bolton's back onto it for the Tigers. Gets the hand pass to Young. From centre half back out to McIntosh one-on-one. Jordan knocked it down. Taranto gets back to offer support for the Tigers. Hand pass to Vlosten. Kicks out towards Ryan and marks in front of the Richmond bench on the members' side. Dan Rioli kept running. May coming the other way. Big fist. As Rioli's cannon into, and a free kick is going Richmond's way, and Stephen May is getting some attention from Camden McIntosh.
That's not a free kick. That's just a good spoil by Stephen May.
That's his job, isn't it?
That's exactly right, Pooh.
He's probably 105 kilos, Stephen May, and that's his job to do that every single day of the week.
Did he make eye contact here?
Jeez.
Rioli on the wing in the interchange gates as he kicks infield to Hopper. Attacking point of the square, cuts back, looks into the pocket, has Ryan all alone, and he marks deep in the left forward pocket. 5 metres in from the boundary line, 25 metres out. Samson Ryan.
What's he going to go with there? He's going to snap. Oh, he too far out.
He'll have to kick it the best part of 40. He'll run around onto the right to keep He bends it back. Big Samson Ryan.
There's some class right there from the big fella.
Showing us all of his wares on the big stage. Anzac Eve on a Monday night. Richmond 6-3-39. Melbourne 3-2-20. 8 minutes played in the second term on Grandstand AFL.
Class or...
Nah,
or what that rhymes with?
No, actually, we had a front row seat there. It was absolutely perfect. If I'm going to talk about technique, he didn't face the middle of the ground. He actually turned his body to the 45, and that's what we teach when we're kicking around the corners. Kick on the 45, and I thought it was sensational.
Remember his switch in the first quarter?
Yeah. That was
back, so I have some good leg skills.
I was fearful for him last year when Damien Hardwick got his name confused and called him Ryan Sampson, but I think he's showing a bit at the moment.
Still does the boxing before the game gets underway with the trainer, which is always an odd sight. Back in the middle, Gawn wins down the tap to Oliver. Hand pass straight to Taranto of the Tigers. Kicks up to half forward. Bowie lunging forward, couldn't get a hand to it. McIntosh is locked up by Langdon. And the umpire will ball it up at left half forward for the Tigers. Richmond by 19 points. A goal apiece through this second quarter. Gawn and Miller. Gawn wins down the tap, but it's McIntosh of the Tigers who drives a kick inside 50. Ryan's the target. Stephen May worked him underneath. Takes a good intercepting mark for Melbourne in the right back pocket under the Olympic stand. Goes short to Brayshaw and feeds the hand pass wide to Bowie. Right half back. Tries to be delicate with his kick down the line looking for Jordan. It's a tap too wide and out of bounds on the full. Camden McIntosh will take it back. Tigers leading by 19 points.
They just haven't taken the ball out of the defensive 50 like we see normally Melbourne. And I don't know if that's due to Richmond's pressure tonight or it's just due to Melbourne being maybe just off, but they haven't been themselves.
McIntosh wheels around, drives it long towards full forward. Lever goes straight up, high points it, takes the defensive mark at fullback. Richmond by 19 points. Melbourne with it at fullback. Lever pinpoints Brayshaw. Marks beyond the defensive 50. Moves it on quickly. Jordan down the broadcast wing. He looks further afield. Will cut back infield. Give a handball to Langdon. Runs on. Sleeves rolled up towards half forward. Looks for a leading target. Pickett. Oh, he drops the chest mark. Allows the Tigers in through short, who gets a clearing handball.
Prestia just sockets it off the ground. Brayshaw lunges forward, knocks it away from Martin. Is that deliberate? That would be incredibly harsh.
It is going to pay it.
Insufficient intent. Melbourne fans below us.
Did you call that? Did you say that was deliberate?
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah. Martin stepped off his line, so he's called to play on. Just gets a high ball towards half forward. Samson Ryan comes charging out. He clashes with Gawn. It clears to the back. Morris Rioli Jr. Hand pass to Hopper. Stripped in the tackle by May. And Melbourne will take the free kick this time at right half back.
So May kicks laterally. It just finds its target in Lever. It's a handball away to Petrarca. Defensive edge of the square for the D's. Goes laterally to Hibberd. Hibberd has plenty of time and eventually goes short to Judd McVie. McVie goes really short again to Hunter. Richmond making them earn it. Kicked 5 of the last 6 goals in this game. They kicked the last 4 of the opening term, a goal apiece in the second. Hunter kicks around the southern wing, trying to find a target. Hands to it, Miller, doesn't quite complete the mark. Follows up at ground level. It's not coming out. We'll get a ball up. Jim and Angie say, hi gents, enjoying the call from Rancho Relaxo at Inman Valley in SA. Go the Tigers.
Thrown back into play. Chance for Clayton Oliver, who's wiped up by Taranto. Tigers take it through Pressia, down low for Revolt. Good clean pick-up as he fends off Christian Petrarca. Hand pass out to Marlon Pickett, who tries to sidestep away from Hunter. Just put off his kick as he sends it inside 50. And Lever picks it up for Melbourne. Hand pass to Jordan, back inside the defensive 50. Kicks to Brayshaw, and they're out now as he sends it out to the members' side for Chandler. Players streaming through the middle of the ground. Alex Neil-Bullen is one of them. He's brought down by Morris Rioli Jr. No 50. Hand pass to Langley. Just lost it. Couldn't take it cleanly. Rioli puts good pressure. That's Morris Rioli Jr. Knocks it to McIntosh as it comes out to Clark on the wing. Takes the bounce as he runs away from Langdon. Jams it inside 50. Waiting for it is Brayshaw. Cumberland competes against 2. Lays the tackle on Lever. Great fight holding the footy. The pressure is ferocious and Richmond win a shot on goal. Jack Revolt was involved. Noah Cumberland. It's no surprise Jack's going to end up with the footy.
He's missed his last 2 drop punts, so he as well is going around the corner.
Left forward pocket, 35 metres out. Jack Revolt steps across his body, curls it beautifully, straight through the middle. And the Tigers are out to the biggest lead of the match. 25 points, 7-3-45 to Melbourne 3-2-20. 13 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport. Ahead of Brent Harvey and Adam Ramanauskas. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Clinchy, their margin 25 points. It gets no better down here for the Demons. Their captain, Max Gawn, came off the ground. He's been opened up just above his right eye. It was from that stray Dusty Martin kick on the boundary on the wing before that went straight up in the air. He copped a stray Samson Ryan elbow to the head. They tried to treat it on the bench, but it's just opened up too much that they've actually taken him down into the rooms, Max Gawn. So probably some stitches above that right eye, left eye to get patched up to get him back out on the ground, and they need him very quickly.
Like all good full forwards, Jack Revolt comes in and takes the kick, but Cumberland couldn't have been lining up for his 4th then. He was the man that actually laid the initial tackle. It was fantastic work.
Grundy wins the tap in the middle. Viney soccers it forward. Neil-Bullen on the half volley. Can't quite gather it. Sparrow goes in. Handball back to Grundy, to Langdon. Just slips through the Bolton tackle. To Oliver. To Viney. Looking for a leading target. The kick is good. And Fritsch coming out. He marks 47 metres out. Slight angle to the left.
They need something to happen, Melbourne.
We haven't seen much of it, have we?
No, just the 2 possessions, so...
Petty 2, Fritsch 2.
Bailey Fritsch with the number 31 on his back. Worn by Barassi, of course, who wore it because of his father. Ron Barassi Sr., who was killed in the Battle of Tobruk in World War II. And that is a beautiful kick from Bailey Fritsch from long range. And the number 31 gives the D's a lift here on Anzac Eve. 4-2-26 the D's. Richmond 7-3-45 here at the quarter-hour mark of the second term.
Yeah, and where Richmond are doing the damage this quarter is through the clearance. So 7-2 in their favour. On that occasion, Melbourne were able to take it away from the centre bounce there, get that clearance. And it's attacking Vlosten's man. Again, Vlosten was on Bailey Fritsch. If Vlosten started to drop off thinking the ball was going long, Bailey Fritsch hips up at the kicker for an easy mark inside forward 50.
Inside 50 is 9-4 this quarter. Richmond's way. Probably could have hit the scoreboard a couple of more times they would have liked.
So both sides with 2 goals for the quarter. Back in the middle, Grundy wins down the tap. Oliver was charging through with speed, couldn't take it. Sparrow with a hand pass out to Oliver. To Grundy, run down. Pickett got him just as he was about to kick from 50 metres out.
Was your man Rammer?
I think he's one of the better wingers in the competition this year, Pickett.
Hand pass around the back to Dan Rioli. Sends it out to the wing for Prestia. Lost the footy underneath him. Hunter with a hand pass to Chandler for Melbourne. Sparrow ran into a dead end, and Dan Rioli, who lays the tackle, holding the ball. And Richmond are winning all these little moments with great tackling and intent.
Ball not returned on the full. Stifled appeals for a 50-metre penalty. Darren's enjoying the call as well, says go the Bombers. Loves the Chinana. He's going to use it, Rammer. I didn't make that up. The short kick is dodgy from Rioli. Out of bounds it goes. Darren's with me. He says, I reckon it'll catch on. Throw in on the wing.
Well, you're telling me Luke Bruce said that originally.
Yeah, but when Darren texts in and says that he likes it, it's mine.
Oh, now it's yours. Okay.
Throw in on the wing. Miller knocks it down. Taranto can't quite gather it. Hunter can. Shovels out a handball. Advantage paid to the D's. Here's Oliver streaming inside 50. His kick is a turnover. And the mark taken by Vlosten in the right back pocket. 19 points, Richmond's advantage, 7-3 plays 4-2, 17.5 into the second.
13 intercept possessions last time they played. Melbourne won his kick for Pickett, can't take the mark. Viney tries to knock it on for Chandler. Toe poking in the middle of the ground for Melbourne. Langdon couldn't take it. Mansell gets it down to Morris Rioli Jr. Hand pass to short. The Tigers streaming forward. He kicks to Revolt, who takes the mark directly in front of Hibbert. There's a little bit of the Tigers of old returning tonight at the MCG, and Jack Revolt with a chance to kick his second, and that would make it 3-2
Smart
in this
play.
second quarter.
Smart play by Dustin Martin. Just that little toe poke. Took it away from congestion, and then just an ordinary bounce for Ed Langdon.
Jack Revolt with the head still bandaged, shooting for his second. Comes in and puts it through. Tigers back out to 25 points. And Jack Revolt has his second in his 16th season in yellow and black. He's still leading from the front. The Tigers 8-3-51 to Melbourne 4-2-26. 18 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport. Let's head down to Tim Hodges.
Clinchy, Max Gawn back from the Demons' rooms, that left eye bandaged, and he is straight back onto the ground for this starting ruck position now.
Just Mansell there also. So it was a poor bounce for Langdon, but Mansfield still was able to just get that little spoil in. The ball then goes back to Morris Rioli, and it's a wave of 3 Richmond players going through the middle of the ground. Patience by Jaden Short to wait for Revolt. He gets into that bit of space, hits him with a beautiful kick.
Because Melbourne press so hard too, that fast play gets them caught out a little bit.
Always.
Lots of texts coming in asking about Boomer's well-being. We'll catch up with him at half-time. Great dedication to be here. Viney goes in at ground level, wins it for the D's. Handball to Brayshaw, away to Gawn, who kicks towards half-forward. Bouncing ball, Fritsch coming out. Vlosten 2 knocks it down for Short. Tigers back with it. Miller runs into trouble, just gets away from Fritsch. Handball a turnover though. D's back with it. Here at left half-forward. Van Rooyen will kick high towards full forward. Looking for a marker. Petty in front. Cradles it like a baby. Bolter was right there with him, but he was just able to take the mark. 20 metres out, slight angle left of centre.
It's funny with Bolter. He doesn't need to wrestle. Like, just stand off him a couple of metres. Once that ball gets there, just spoil it. Like, he always wants to show his strength, Bolter, when he's probably one of the more athletic big men in the competition.
Petty comes in and knocks it through. They've kicked 2 of the last 3 today's and just starting to get into a groove. 8-3-51 Richmond, Melbourne 5-2-32. Time on, second term on Grandstand AFL.
Hasn't had many looks, Petty, in this game.
First touch of the quarter, and after 7 goals in the first quarter, we've already had 6 at the 20-minute mark of the second quarter. So a lot of goals tonight. So actually good to watch for once. I've done a couple of games this year where it's been 3 goals to 2 at half time.
Well, there's goals being kicked because both teams want to attack.
They do.
So there's speed in the game. Like, both teams are not trying to slow the tempo down at the moment. They want to get the ball in their forward 50 quickly They want to give their forwards a chance. Richmond are just simply doing it better at the moment.
How good is it seeing the kick back inside that we haven't seen for years? You pull that kick on the 45 back through the corridor, get a handball received, the ball's in your forward 50.
Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey with you on ABC Sport. Gorn back onto the ground, gets the clearance, kicks towards half forward. Bolter punches it back into the middle of the MCG. Langdon after it for Melbourne. Retreats back by hand to Bowie. Sidesteps around Clark, looks up towards half forward and Viney marks. Swings onto his left, inside 50, Fritsch is on the run. And he takes the mark, juggling it on his second attempt. It's shepherding in the marking contest, and Nick Floston is going to get it. Melbourne fans thought they had it directly in front, 25 metres out. Floston goes short, and Hopper takes the mark.
Hopper goes laterally to Prestia, almost in trouble, just escapes from Sparrow. Handball away to Short on the Great Southern Stand wing, Richmond. Handball to Martin, to Prestia, just gets it on the boot. High ball to half forward, Bolton outnumbered. Coming through Rivers, spoils it down. Rioli roves though. This is Daniel to Judson Clark. Richmond at half forward. Handball goes through Rewalt. Now coming back through. Pickett's able to gather. He'll squeeze a kick inside 50 for the Tigers. Hibbard's there. Handball away towards Langdon. Back towards Gorn. Kick squeezes out. Rewalt gets it for Richmond. Kick a turnover. Viney can mark. Time to settle. 19 points. Richmond's advantage.
Just over the head of Dustin Martin as he was trying to centre. Viney into the back pocket for Jake Lever. Gave away that 50-metre penalty in the opening quarter. And sends it out to Sparrow, who takes the mark at left half back for the Demons. Around the southern side of the MCG. Petty's the marking target. He marks strongly in front of Noah Bolter. Centre wing on the Shane Warne stand side of the MCG. Looks up, has Fritsch at centre half forward, sends it towards him and Van Rooyen. Vlosten spoils it away. Short in front, clever tap onto Baker. That works at half back for the Tigers. Up the wing and Lever in front takes the mark. Lunging forward against Trent Cotchin. The intercepting mark for Melbourne.
So Lever, a little unsure, eventually will go towards half forward with a long kick. Bolter climbs up from the back. Takes a strong contested defensive mark.
That's what Noah Bolter can do because of his athleticism. No need to wrestle.
Bolter goes to Bolton, marks on the logo. Richmond down the southern wing, chips it over the top. Cochin marks. Thinks about coming infield, eventually will. Looking to get it to Prestia, who takes it 49 metres out. Well, the mark's at 49 and a half out.
There's the kick. Boomer, you know this as well. If you don't give the kick away with your eyes, all defenders, they'll fall back. It's just natural for it to fall back. So
what you want to do, you actually want to shape that you're going long.
Yeah.
So you get the defenders on the move and then you come back the other way.
Prestia doesn't think he has it in him, so he goes short. And Jayden Short marks.
Short will go long here, I think, Benny.
Yeah, it's a great oxymoron, isn't it? Marks at 52 metres out. He's a raking kick from inside the centre square. Short loads up and goes long and misses. Gee, we built it up well, Ramo. We deserved the goal.
We
are behind.
That would have been on the highlights too, I think, that one.
8-4-52 Richmond, Melbourne 5-2-32. 20-point advantage, 24 minutes into the second.
Stephen May into the back pocket for Melbourne for Hibbert. Driving ball up the wing. Flying was Van Rooyen. Couldn't take the mark. Lawson run down. Great tackle, but in the back. Oh, Hunter fell in the middle of his back in the eyes of the umpire. And Vossen will take it. Goes short to Hopper.
That's play on. But that's gone about 4 metres.
Goes short to Prestia.
That one went 8 metres.
Let's get out the tape measure. Between wing and half forward on the southern side of the ground. Prestia veers out to the right. Careful kick inside 50. Looking for Revon, who came leading out. But Jack Viney set himself in the hole and takes the intercepting mark. 35 metres out from his defensive goal. Out the punt road end. Viney looks up towards Van Rooyen. Can't take the mark. Spills down to Cossie Pickett. Dodging and weaving. Jams it onto his left. Out towards Hunter. And he takes the mark. No, McIntosh spoiled it away. Umpire said it was over the shoulder. And Hunter this time gets the whistle, much of the cheers of the Melbourne fans. Gave it back to Viney. Works it to Petrarca.
He'll go long for the D's. Fritsch leading out. It won't get there. It'll fall for Langdon. He comes in to take the mark. 40 metres out. Plum in front.
I was just going to mention Petrarca has been really quiet this quarter. That was only his 4th possession.
See why this bloke ends up with a fair bit of ball. He's worked right up and down one side of the MCG. He's phenomenal. Does not stop, Langdon.
Never comes off either.
Does not stop. He was just in the back pocket then. Petrarca gets the ball in the middle of the ground. You're not watching him, and he marks the ball inside 50.
Trots in, breaks the arc from 45 metres out. The D's are humming now. Clawing their way back into this contest. It's back to 14 points. Richmond 8-4-52. Melbourne 6-2-38 at the 26-minute mark of the second term. Ben Cameron, Matt Clinch, Adam Ramanaskas and Brent Harvey.
Yeah, they've just willed themselves back into the game, the D's. Really, bit of pressure, Boomer around the ball. Now, I mentioned Petrarca, who's been quiet this quarter, only the 4 possessions. Viney, 11 possessions this quarter, Oliver 7. So their other 2 midfielders have really picked up the slack there.
And you know that you can't have any lapses against really good teams. Melbourne's a very good team, so you give them a couple of minutes, they've kicked the last 2 goals. They're just keeping themselves right in it. 38-52 at half-time, they go in and say, rightio, let's just win the next quarter by a couple of goals, and we're still in this. Haven't put them away yet, the Tigers.
Ed Langdon's first goal of the season. Comes the 6th individual goal scorer for the Demons. Back in the middle, Shea Bolton gets the clearance for the Tigers. Kicks towards Hopper at half-forward. It's spoiled away by Brayshaw. Langdon's hand pass straight to Clark. Driving kick inside 50, and McVee's getting back. He marks 5 metres out, up against the left behind post, and goes short to Stephen May. Has it in the right back pocket under the Olympic stand at the MCG. May with a long searching kick in the direction of Gawn. Noah Bolter's there. It clears the 2. Out the back, Baker can't keep it alive, and it rolls out of play for a boundary throw in. The Demons with 4 goals to 3 in this second quarter. After the Tigers got it out to 25 points on a couple of occasions, it's Richmond by 14 points.
Gawn and Ryan both run in. Gawn in front. Ryan from behind gets a hand on it. Hopper, handball away towards Bolton. Bolton slipping over. Hibberd goes in for the D's. Shovels out a handball, but straight to Baker. Cuts a swathe through them. Kicks the Tigers inside 50. Unable to gather there, Miller. May gets a handball away. Judson Clark wins it back for Richmond. Clever handball from Rewalt, and misses the target. Petrarca there for the D's. Gives it off to Oliver. Long kick to the wing.
Over the head of Grundy and Van Rooyen, and the mark is taken by Noah Bolter. Left half back for the Tigers, leading by 14 points. Kicks out to Baker, up with one arm, can't take the mark. Pickett and Langdon there. Langdon wins the one-on-one. Hand pass to Viney, drives it towards Van Rooyen, and Bolter in front, too strong. Couldn't move him. Noah Bolter with another intercepting mark at left half back for the Tigers. Looks around the members' wing. Sends a high ball towards Gawn and Samson Ryan. Gawn in front, it clears him. At the back, Hibberd races onto it for Melbourne. Hand pass inside 50. Not a great kick, that's a defensive 50 to Rivers. Sparrow has to try and clean it up. Hand pass to Rivers. And that'll do us for the opening half in the books. The defense fans feel like they're on the wrong end of a few of the umpires' calls. It's the Tigers leading by 14 points at the main break. 8-4-52 to Melbourne 6-2-38. The Demons with 4 goals straight in that second quarter to Richmond's 3 goals 2. For the Tigers, 3 goals to Noah Cumberland, 2 goals to Jack Rewalt. Cumberland's all came in the opening term. Revolt's all came in the second quarter. Individuals to Hopper, Mansell and Ryan. Meanwhile, for the Demons, all individual goal kickers, Viney, Langdon, Neil Bullen, Fritsch, Petty and Pickett.
So they kicked 3 of the last 4 goals to work back into the game. Did Melbourne after Richmond got out to a 25-point advantage about midway through that second term. Adam Ramanaskas, who played 5 times on Anzac Day, is a premiership player, and Brent Harvey, who ran out onto an AFL ground more than anybody else, will tell us how it happened in that first half.
Well, I thought it was a really good game. 7 goals kicked in both quarters, so 14 for the game. Like I said, something I haven't seen this year when I've been doing the commentating. So really, really happy to see some goals kicked. Both teams playing attacking football. I'm loving when they come through the corridor, Rama. We mentioned it during the call just then. When they take that 45 kick the one that they're going through, and they get a handball receive, it breaks the line, and it's very, very hard to stop. We spoke about Melbourne's defence being so structured, but when the quick ball comes, it's very, very, very hard to defend. Richmond have been able to do that on occasions, get out the back of them and get a couple of really easy goals. Cumberland was a little bit quiet that quarter, but certainly in the first quarter kicked his 3 goals to keep Richmond right in the game. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Richmond. I didn't expect that at the start of the game. Melbourne have got a little bit of work to do, but they're certainly not out of it for me.
Well, it's a fast, intense game of football. I think both teams are really trying to attack. They're not slowing the game down. They want to take on the centre corridor, both teams. Richmond there on a couple of occasions were able to get the ball back through the centre corridor, and then there's just a wave of numbers that were able to come through. Rioli from half-back, Jaden Short from half-back, Liam Baker from half-back. Getting Jaden Short back's been a big one. He's up to 17 possessions for that half, but it's his kicking. Like, he gets the ball, he's going to take it 10 or 15 metres in terms of run, but then he's going to kick it 60. So he becomes, a 70, 75 metre player.
He's super important.
Yeah, he is.
In the way they want to play too. Rebound off half-back, go quick through the middle. He's the one, if they can get the handball receive, and that's probably why he's played through the middle a little bit more. How have you seen Taranto's game?
Oh, look, I think in the clinches he's been really good. He's had, out of his 16 possessions, he's had 10 contested. And I know he's been criticised during the week for his kicking efficiency, and it hasn't been good again tonight. But in terms of breaking even with an Oliver or a Viney or a Petrarca, I think he's more than held his own in that situation. So Hopper's been probably the one that's hurt Melbourne more, I think, in that first half. He's had the 13 possessions, but he's able to get him uncontested, so he's been able to get him outside the contest. I think
the scoreboard as well.
Yeah, which becomes really important for the Tigers, because if him and Presti can get the ball outside the contest, that just allows Taranto, okay, you do the grunt work inside there. You feed it out to us, and we'll do the rest from that point on. Martin Bolton have looked really sharp. I thought Trent Cotchin had I only say eight possessions on the stat sheet, but I thought he looked sharp in that first half. Revolt's hitting up really well at the ball. He's forcing Stephen May into places in that defensive 50 where May doesn't like to go. He likes to stay as a central defender, or he likes to play as the wicket keeper.
Yep.
But what Revolt's doing is he's engaging him, then moving him. And that's why in the first quarter, albeit it was a bit of chaos ball where Richmond were able to kick the goals, and Cumberland was able to benefit from that. But it was because they were moving Lever, they were moving May out of positions where they're usually so comfortable in. So I think where the D's will be disappointed is the ball is lived in Richmond's forward half for a lot of that first half. So how they're able to win the ball back across their half-back line. So you're looking at players like Hibbert, Bowie, McVee, Rivers. Those guys there, they've got to start winning a bit more ball across that half-back line, taking space in front of them. Moving the ball through lines, so then it doesn't allow Richmond's defenders to set. Bolt has had his moments in that first half. Petty outmarks him, but then in other moments he's been pretty good. The one that I've actually been quite impressed with, who's held his own, is Samson Ryan.
Yep.
I thought Melbourne would have had a clear advantage with Gawn and Grundy. Gawn took those 2 marks in the first quarter inside forward 50, and I thought, oh boy, this could be a long night for the young ruckman. But in saying that, he's kicked the goal himself. He's been more than competitive in the ruck. So I think Richmond fans can be really happy with the way he's gone.
I think they can be happy, but I don't think the 14 points is a big enough lead against a Melbourne team who I think right now, if I'm looking at the first half, I got a little bit more upside to Richmond. I just don't think that they've played the style of play that they want to play. Richmond have made them play that way because I think their pressure's been outstanding. 26 to 19 tackles.
That's disappointing
Richmond's
for Melbourne.
Way, and Melbourne play a hard brand of football. Jack Viney, these type of guys through the middle of the ground. Petrarca, they started well, but I think Richmond got on top of them in the end. So, but I still think Melbourne's got more upside with the second half to come.
Lots of texts coming through, which is something we always love here. 0437 774 774. G'day, guys. Listening in the Sunshine Coast hinterland. I'm a Tassie lad living in Auckland for the last 5 years. Over here for a week or so. ABC AFL keeps me sane across the ditch. That's from Mark. Good to have you with us, Mark. Darren says, g'day, guys. Enjoying the call from Murtoa. going down to our local dawn service, and then we'll be glued to the footy. Go the Bombers. Love the Chinana. I reckon it'll catch on.
That's a lie. No, that does not say that.
This one, the Chinana is footy's answer to reverse swing.
Oh, wow.
So really catching on here. Maybe the Chinana. Hope Boomer recovers all well from his leg injury. Go Roos. That's from Leon Glenorchy.
Thanks,
Len. That in. How are you going, Boomer? That is what we want to get to.
Is this going to be Michael Parkinson now? You two sort of together for a little bit?
Let's have a moment.
How is the leg?
The leg's okay. It's not amazing, but the leg's okay. It's, to be brutally honest, Clinchy, you nearly got a call at 8:30 last night to say, mate, I think I'm out. I think I'm out. And I thought, you know what? Let's just wake up tomorrow and give it another chance. I actually woke up feeling a lot better than I did at 8:30 last night. So, yeah, I'm on the mend. I'm feeling better. The meds have been pretty good to me, I must say, and I've weaned off them pretty quickly. So no meds today, which is all, and today, which is great. I'll tell you what though, I'm going to lobby for a green whistle for every football club or every sporting club to have a green whistle tucked away with the president in a safe somewhere, because I tell you what, it wasn't great waiting for the ambulance. It was excruciating pain.
How long was the wait?
The wait was a little while. And I know it's hard because there's people out there doing worse off than me, but the wait was a little bit, and all I could have was a couple of Panadeine Fort, which, trust me, did very, very little, if not zero. So, yeah, it wasn't great sitting there at the rooms.
So tib and fib, is that correct? So both of the main bones in your leg were broken?
Yeah, the tib's a big one. I had a 33-centimetre rod with a couple of screws connected to that to make it a little bit stronger, obviously. And
to make you taller?
I'm hoping so. Too much they can put a 43-centimetre rod in me.
We'll both go back in, Boomer.
And see how we go. Might take Peter Bell with us.
Yeah,
1 metre Peter.
1 metre Peter will come in with us. So the rod goes from the top of your knee right down into your foot.
They did, yeah. I woke up and I got this little pad on the top of my knee, and I said, what's that? And they said, that's where we put the rod in. So they've gone, I don't know if that's orthodox or unorthodox, but it's, it's there.
Most importantly, we're glad to hear that you're going well. You've got your brother Shane, who's
a chauffeur.
Chauffeuring you around, and I blame Shane. He got you back playing footy.
He did, absolutely. I blame Shane as well. I blame everyone, actually.
We're glad to hear that you're going well, Boomer. A lot of people on the SMS are as well. Jim from Limerick in Ireland says, love the ABC, only station to listen to. And how's this one, Rama? Tying everything back to Easter Monday. Easter Monday. Isaac says, plenty of mizzle in Minjanoo today. Loving the call while on night shift, seating lupins.
Why? Our SMS is usually a highly intelligent. All they're doing is encouraging you, Benny, with your language.
We'll keep it coming. It is half-time in the Anzac Eve match. Brent Harvey, who's on the mend with his broken leg. Adam Ramanauskas is here as well. So too Matt Clinch. Tim Hodges downstairs on the boundary. But with Richmond leading 8-4-52 to 6-2-38 over Melbourne at half-time, let's get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Military analysts say Australia's defence review is appropriately responding to growing regional threats. The two authors of the Strategic Defence Review have singled out Beijing for building up its military without transparency or identifying its strategic intent. The review recommends overhauling Australia's army to respond to what it sees as the missile age of modern warfare. Dr. Matthew Sussex from ANU Strategic Defence Studies Centre says Beijing is likely to respond with some form of protest.
I think the reaction from China will be relatively predictable, and that is that Australia is embarking on an arms race and creating instability within the region, something that Beijing has been saying for a long time.
A national patient organisation for chronic fatigue syndrome says sales for the development of clinical guidelines for the disease have fallen on deaf ears. Chronic fatigue syndrome, otherwise known as ME/CFS, is a disabling disease with no treatment or cure. Emerge Australia says while up to 250,000 people in Australia are living with the illness, CEO Anne Wilson says the nation's clinical guidelines are more than 20 years out of date.
Australia continues to not provide funds for the development of clinical guidelines. And that means that our clinicians don't have the guidelines to aid them in the diagnosis, management and treatment of patients.
Quarterly CPI data will be released on Wednesday, and economists say the inflation figures will have a huge bearing on how the Reserve Bank will move on interest rates when it meets early next month. Here's business reporter David Chow.
It's expected to show a significant drop, but it's still going to be around a 30-year high. And the Reserve Bank will be interested in these figures because if they are, higher than expected or worse than expected, then that might mean it needs to work harder to slow down the economy and could reinforce another case for an interest rate hike at its next meeting. But let's take a look at what to expect. So inflation looks like it peaked at 7.8% in the December quarter. Economists are expecting it to drop below 7% for the March quarter, the figures we're getting. So it's a step in the right direction, but still unacceptably high for the Reserve Bank.
The director of the Melbourne International Comedy Festival says that she's taken aback and offended by accusations they cancelled comedian Barry Humphries, who passed away at the weekend. The festival removed Humphries' name from an award in 2019 following comments he made about transgender people, a move several of his close friends in the industry have recently criticised. Director Susan Provin says the award was changed to reinforce the equality and diversity of the community and that the festival continues to celebrate Humphries' comic genius. A Canberra man's been found guilty of sexually assaulting a sex worker at a Mitchell brothel in February 2021. Harry Frost with the details.
You have to stop the war, silence the guns, and start talking and looking for a political solution, because there is not a military solution to this war.
And that's not Harry Frost. We'll bring you that report right now.
31-year-old Daryl Michael Hudson has been found guilty of 10 offences, including sexually assaulting and choking a woman and punching a hole in the wall. The woman told the ACT Supreme Court trial the man had become increasingly agitated when he was unable to perform sex after taking cocaine. The man argued there was consent for everything that happened. The 10 offences include 3 counts of sexual intercourse without consent and 3 acts of indecency. He'll be sentenced at a later date.
EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell says the international community will have to continue pushing for a political solution to the crisis in Sudan. Fighting between the Sudanese army and a paramilitary group has shown no signs of abating. Numerous countries have now moved their diplomatic staff and families from the capital Khartoum to safety. Mr. Borrell says he's been in touch with Sudanese military leaders from both sides and his message was clear.
You have to stop the war, silence the guns, and start talking and looking for a political solution, because there is not a military solution to this war. And we take our people out because there is the middle of the war. Some of them were wounded. It is impossible to continue working as a diplomat.
And police are calling for mobile phone footage after a violent brawl that broke out at a bar in Canberra's north. 2 people were arrested and multiple other people were injured during the violent disturbance at Siren Bar in Gungahlin about 8:30 on Saturday. Police say chairs, tables and bottles were used as weapons during the brawl. You're up to date with ABC News.
With the ABC Listen app, you can take the footy with you wherever you go. Off to walk the dog?
Take the footy.
Going camping?
Take the footy.
Picnic in the park?
Take the footy.
ABC Sport's expert coverage of the AFL.
Incredible grab.
And the NRL. Every goal, try, mark and tackle. Live and commercial free.
He bounces it through.
So whatever you're up to,
Take the footy.
take the footy with you on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Pickett's out the back. He can gather in the pocket. Bolter just got a hand on him. Pickett bounces up, snaps, goes, and lets Bolter know about it. Quick and slick and doing the trick that he's out of the middle. Looks into the pocket as Ryan all alone. And he marks deep in the left forward pocket. 5 metres in from the boundary line, 25 metres out. He'll run around onto the right. He bends it back. Big Samson Ryan.
Jams it inside 50. Waiting for it is Brayshaw. Cumberland competes against 2. Lays the tackle on Lever. Great fight holding the footy. The pressure is ferocious. And Richmond win a shot on goal. Jack Revolt steps across his body, curls it beautifully straight through the middle. Mansell gets it down to Morris Rioli Jr. Half pass to short. The Tigers streaming forward. He kicks to Rewolds. Jack Rewolds with the head still bandaged. Shooting for his second. Comes in and puts it through.
Van Rooyen will kick high towards full forward. Looking for a marker. Eddie in front. Cradles it like a baby. Eddie comes in and knocks it through. He'll go long for the D's. Fridge leading out. It won't get there. It'll fall for Langdon. Trots in. Breaks the arc from 45 metres out. The D's are humming now.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
So they kicked 3 of the last 4 goals of the first half, did the D's, but they still trail at the main break by 14 points, 8-4-52, plays 6-2-38. Richmond leading here on Grandstand AFL. Ben Cameron and Matt Clinch calling all of the action. Tim Hodges down on the boundary, and Adam Ramanauskas, who played on Anzac Day 5 times, and Brent Harvey, the game's record holder, with us here at the MCG. Plenty of texts continue to roll in. I like this one, Rama. We've been debating about Mizzle and also the Chinana, but this is from Greg in Bendigo. He says, sorry guys, but Mizzle is definitely a word. It's in the OED, Cambridge, Collins, Webster, Chambers, etc. Well done, Ben, for being erudite. That's from Greg.
Greg,
what's it mean?
Do you reckon I've ever read... What's it in?
It's in the
Cambridge,
Collins, Webster and Chambers.
I'm from Dufton. I'm lucky to have read 2 books in my life.
Benny, you've obviously used it in a sentence. Can you give me a little...
When the rain is caught between mist and drizzle, it's a light mizzle.
No, it's just... he said it the other day, and we all looked at Benny was on the boundary. And we all looked at each other. What is this bloke talking about?
I thought he was going to come out with a manizzle, my manizzle, whatever it is.
It's fair to say it gets a bit more of a run in the cricket season when you're trying to describe the different types of rain. So you've got the hard rain, which means we're not getting on anytime soon, and there's a lot of smoke and mirrors as to how quickly we can get back in. Just a couple of the other news doing the rounds, Ben. So unfortunately, Mitch Georgiades from Port Adelaide confirmed that he's got a ruptured ACL, so his season is done. Toot Miller with a meniscus tear in his left knee, so Gold Coast Suns are saying short to medium term.
What's that, 4 to 6?
4 to 6 maybe.
Yep,
maybe.
He'll get a little clean out tonight.
Jesse Motlop has been given a 1-week ban for his dangerous tackle on Dougal Howard yesterday, and the Anzac teams are in for Collingwood and Essendon. So Jordan De Goe is back, Kruger and Trey Rusco. For McStay, Murphy, Adams and Wilson. And for the Bombers, Davey and Wiedemann come in for Jones, Hine and Merritt. So Merritt suspended, but a bit of a surprise that Harry Jones was dropped, Rama. Hasn't been kicking goals.
No, he hasn't been kicking goals. So, yeah, I think going back to the twos, get a bit of confidence.
Big out, Merritt.
Huge.
You don't replace that. You can't replace
Well,
it.
you've got to... it's got to be a number of players that try to cover that loss.
Huge out.
And Jack Revol became the 3rd player to score 400 goals at the MCG. So Matthew Richardson, 464. Matthew Lloyd, 461. Jack Revol now 400. And David Neitz with 386. So the iconic Tiger up to 766 goals, and 400 of them, Benny, have been at the MCG.
It's good company, isn't it, for Jack Rewalt? The second half about to get underway. Richmond 8-4-52, leading Melbourne 6-2-38 with Matthew Clinch.
So Ryan and Grundy to do battle in the middle of the ground. Grundy gets it down to Oliver. It kicks towards half forward. Pickett with speed. Couldn't take it cleanly. Neil Bullen swoops onto it. On the left boot, it's smothered by Taranto. Spills towards Oliver, who tries to drag it back in. He might have hurt his shoulder here in a collision with Baker. The ball's stuck under Prestia and Neil Bullen. Clayton Oliver for the moment is trotting back through the middle of the ground. So maybe just a stinger as the hand pass comes from Prestia to short. Sends it out to Marlon Pickett on the wing. Driving ball up towards Shea Bolton at half forward. It clears him. Lever with a fist back up the middle of the wing. Taranto for the Tigers. Inside 50. Brayshaw going back. Takes the mark in front of Cumberland. 40 metres out from Melbourne's defensive goal.
Gives it off to Rivers, who gives it to Petrarca, gets it back, then runs into a little bit of a dead end. Has to chip on the left, does so neatly. Finds Fritsch. Backward of the logo. Kicks looking for Neil Bullen. Beats him, gets to the back. Miller gets it, tackled quickly, holding the ball. Neil Bullen will get the free kick. He'll have it just short of the wing for the D's. He'll set it up. Looking for Gawn. Gawn outbodies Bolter and claims it in the pocket.
I sang Samson Ryan's praises at half-time. But he's got to be a lot closer there. Just gave Gawn way too much of a head start on that lead. Couldn't get near him. Bolter couldn't impact the contest.
45-degree angle to the left-hand side. Hasn't played since round 2 with that medial sprain, patching over his left eye. A slow approach, and he hooks it hard left.
Needed the Chinana.
Tends to be Big Max's miss. And behind, 6-3-39 the D's, Richmond 8-4-52.
He's a better kick from longer range.
Yeah.
That was such a high ball drop. There's so much room for error, but when he's out further, he can kick the ball and actually launch at it.
First game since round 2 for Max Gawn as Nick Wolston brings the Tigers back into play. Driving kick towards Ryan. Grundy and May are both there. Spills to the back. Rivers tries to parry it up towards Jordan. Hand pass inboard to Grundy. Retreats back by hand to Sparrow. Around the body. Sends it back towards Gawn. Baker was there in front. Grimes came late. Max juggles the mark. Now Ryan got close to impeding the mark. No 50. Into the pocket for Cozzy. Pickett just takes the mark in the field of play. Hard in the left forward pocket, under the Olympic stand. He veers out to the right, kicks around his body, it's curling! And clips the post. Almost 3/4 of the way at the very top of the right goal post. And it's through for a minor score. So a couple of behinds for the Demons to start this third quarter. Richmond leading by 12 points.
Short brings it in quickly, gets it on to Baker. He runs around the boundary, drives a low ball towards Rewalt. May getting back, gets a hand on it, skips towards the boundary line. Out of play, we'll get a throw in. Richmond lead by 2 goals. Awaiting our first goal in this second half.
Cozzy probably should have taken a little bit more time because Richmond got the kick out and was able to go straight away. If he had to take another 5, 6, 7 seconds, they could have set up their own defence.
Umpire brings it in. There's a free kick. It'll go to Grundy. He'll take the advantage quickly. Kicks out in front of Jordan. Petrarca receives the handball in stride. Kicks towards full forward. Getting back, Grimes. Slides into mark or touched off the boot. Play on. He'll switch quickly. Has Short in the left back pocket.
And he's off and running. Takes a bounce and looks up to Taranto at half back. He wants to give the hand pass away. Back to Short and round Cozzy Pickett, who sends it out the southern wing, and Marlon Pickett takes the mark.
It was terrific by Liam Baker. Just on that Petrarca kick. Just put enough pressure on him.
Pickett sends it towards half forward. Cumberland and Miller the target. Knocked down by Hibbert. Got it to the advantage of Grundy. Back to Hibbert. Hand pass to Lever. To Oliver Hart against the boundary line. Squeezes a kick forward to Langdon. Takes the mark. Shane Warne stand side. Around the boundary line up towards Gawn. Arms outstretched in front. And Bolter can't get a fist to it.
Good start by Gawn. That's 3 marks already in this quarter.
Awkwardly landed up against the chair where the synthetic turf takes over from the natural grass and lost his shoe in the process.
He's in the wars today. Maxi Gawn got a cut above his eye and he's hit the chair there. He kicks infield to Bowie, who spots up a teammate in Neil Bullen. At right half forward, looking for a leading target. Coming out, Fritsch. He can't quite take the mark. Sport down by Grimes. Spills to Bolton, who will kick out towards the wing, and Lever can intercept on the logo for the D's.
Going to start moving the ball off the line, Melbourne. Just this quarter, I know it's only young, but just kicking up and down the line at the moment, making it easy for Richmond defenders.
Centre towards Langdon, but Pickett with the support of Noel Bolter is able to spoil out a play for a boundary throw-in.
Even that kick there, it's gone 45 metres, but it's gone at right angles. But it's 50-50 to Langdon now. You're better off just going directly to goal if you're going to do that and give the forwards at the fall of the ball a chance.
Inside 50's 4-1 Melbourne's way as Grundy down to Petrarca, kick partially smothered, spills to Baker, hand pass to Short under pressure, Chandler's onto it, snaps onto the left, beautiful finish. Through a few sets of hands, and Joel Kate Chandler, who's been a goal scorer this season, puts through his first of the night. The Demons close the gap to 6 points with the opening goal of the third quarter. 8-4-52 the Tigers to Melbourne 7-4-46. 6 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport.
I'm a big rap for this young fella. I think he's got fantastic finishing skills, gets in right spots. Watching him closely, another game that I came to, he works super hard. So very, very bright future.
5 inside 50s to 1. Boomer. So they're pushing hard here, the D. So 3 scoring shots with those 5 inside 50s in this quarter. Only 6 minutes old. Double the possessions. Melbourne 29 to 13 at the moment. So they're really making a hard early push in this first quarter.
Comes their 7th individual goal kicker with the clearance. Ryan for Richmond towards half forward. Pickett swoops onto the footy brilliantly, gives it to Martin. He's almost run down, just gets his kick away into the pocket, and Lever fists it away and forces a throw in. Great chase and tackle there from Bowie.
Yeah, it was. Saved a certain goal.
Just did enough. Left forward pocket, Melbourne. They only trail by a goal. Have kicked the last 3 of the match.
Thrown in front of the eternal flame, the cauldron. At the city end of the MCG. Gawn doing the ruck work against Miller. Spikes it down towards Oliver. Spills away of Cochin. Dribbling goal towards the goal mouth. Can't get there. Langdon for Melbourne. Hand pass to McPhee. Kicks out in front of Hunter and Jordan. Jordan's able to get a right hand to it. Just couldn't pull it in as he lost it in the process, and a boundary throw in. And right half forward for the Tigers.
It was almost really well done by Jordan. Boston loves those situations where he can just push off his direct opponent.
Tigers kicked 5 of the first 7 goals of the match. Melbourne have been clawing their way back since. They're within a goal. Miller wins down the tap. Shea Bolton can't take it. Almost collected Hunter high. A late whistle. As Spiney was breaking away, the kick will come back, even though Oliver thought about taking it. Rocky Hunter will take it at left half back for the D's.
Hunter kicks towards the logo, overshoots Gawn. Miller's there for the Tigers, gives it off to Martin. He'll snap towards half forward. Clever kick, it finds Ryan. Attacking edge of the square, he'll move it on quickly. Looking for Cumberland. Drops the mark, follows up, soccers it off the deck, and out of bounds on the full. It was electric in the first half, Cumberland.
Another good kick by Ryan, though, to his advantage. Kicked around his body rammer.
He's 206 centimetres, Samson Ryan. So
well, Cumberland should have marked that. He dropped the one that was on his straight on his chest.
What I like about, he's not a lumbering ruckman, Samson Ryan. He can get around the ground.
Lever's long kick up towards Gawn. Centre wing punched away. Spills away of Clark. Hand pass inboard to Pickett. Nowhere to go as Jordan lays the tackle. The umpire will ball it up in the left forward pocket for the Tigers. They lead by 6 points. 8-4-52 to Melbourne 7-4-46. Gawn rises, wins down the tap, has to follow up his own ruck work and a clearing kick straight up and down. Pressure underneath it. Jordan tries to get a fist onto it. Oliver and Petrarca are both in there for Melbourne. Can't rip it clear. Jordan has a go at it. He's trying to gather millimetres by knocking it forward. It spills to Shea Bolton. He jams it onto the boot. A high kick inside 50. McIntosh underneath. Spoiled away by Hunter. Straight to Jack Revolt. Spinning out of traffic and jamming it on his right for his third. Turning back the clock. And the Tigers answer back after Melbourne's early goal to start the third quarter. It's back to a 12-point margin. 9-4-58 to Melbourne 7-4-46. No Tom Lynch, so Jack Revolt is shouldering the charge.
And he's doing a good job of it, Jack. It's 3 goals, but Stephen May's not having a big influence on this game, I think, which is really, really important because he's taking Stephen May away from those dangerous areas, as I mentioned at half-time. And what that's also doing then is it's confusing Jake Lever because they usually defend so well together, Boomer, but their intercept possessions today as a in the entire match is right down. So look, Lever's had 6 and May's had 6, but it hasn't been of any influence really, their intercept possessions tonight.
Richmond's last 3 goals all coming through Rewalt. Free kick in the middle from the restart. Hopper to get it. Kicks long in the Rewalt direction. Getting back. Rivers gets in the hole. Brings it down. Cochin dives on the footy. Umpire will circle. Pings him holding the ball.
But even there, Boomer, so Rewalt leads out. May's 3 metres behind him.
Yeah, he's lucky he got a chop out by Rivers, I think it might have been, coming back with the flight of the ball. Otherwise, he was done again.
Hibbert sends the D's out to left half back and finds Oliver, who will kick long in the Petty direction. Hands to it, doesn't complete the mark. Out the back, Loston wants to take it out. The D's do a good job of corralling him. And the umpire in the end says throw it in.
He just tried to give him the ball or throw it to him so he didn't get paid deliberate.
He should have tried to handball it off his leg.
His foot, yeah.
Tigers by 12 points. Anzac footy. Thrown back into play. Miller works his way to the front. Grundy tries to shove him out of it. Grundy gets a kick inside 50. Rioli, that's Dan, is able to pull in the mark. Reading it perfectly. Going back with a flight against Chandler. Dan Rioli looks to Nick Vlosten, who takes the mark in the right back pocket. Under the Olympic stand. Not a lot of movement further afield. He's got Cochin and Revolt long down the line. Wants to go shorter than that. It's a well-executed kick that finds Hopper. Wedged in between Petty and Neil Bullen. Right half back for the Tigers. Looks to try and sidestep around Petty on the mark. Hugs the boundary line looking for Cochin. He flies against McVie. Takes the mark. Great mark from Trent Cochin, the 33-year-old.
Comes infield with his kick to Bolton. Bolton ignores Rioli running by. Still two good kicks from home, so he sets it up towards the pocket. May puts his fist through it. Spills to Neil Bullen for the D's across halfback. He'll kick into the middle of the ground and find Chandler. Chandler wants to send it out to the southern wing. His kick is a good one. As he finds Jordan, handball away to the run of Langdon. He'll give it back to Jordan.
And Jordan wants to jam it forward. Van Rooyen the target. Petty there as well. And Petty takes the mark. As Grimes came late to try and spoil. He's out to the right. He'll have to kick from just outside 50. Has he got the journey, Rammer?
I'm not sure.
Not for me.
No, he's not obviously more play as a defender with Brown and McDonald both out. It's through necessity that he's playing forward. So I haven't viewed his goal kicking too much. I've got to be honest.
Kicked the goal in the second quarter. Harrison Petty. He shuffles, getting all momentum behind it. It's not a bad effort for distance, but it's out to the right in accuracy. Through for a minor score. Tigers lead by 11 points. 13 minutes gone. Third term on ABC Sport.
Is Petty there for his defensive work as much as he's a forward target?
Yeah.
Hasn't offered a great deal tonight, has he? He's kicked one goal. He's had 2 shots on goal, 5 possessions.
Oh, dangerous kick in from Rioli. Getting involved is Neil Bullen. Now Vlosten's under the pump. Gets a handball away, but too late. Holding the ball. And Chandler has pinged him in the pocket. And he'll get this shot on goal.
Yeah, he actually... This rule... I don't like this rule. He actually handballed the ball and he didn't hold on to it for super long. Yes, he made a mistake. He fell over and he ended up getting caught. But he gets the ball away. It's a clear handball. I just don't see how it's dropping the ball. Or holding the ball.
Yeah, holding the ball.
Or whichever one it is. He's actually...
Chandler kicked the D's last goal. Tight angle left forward pocket. Chandler comes in, steers it through. And he's igniting the D's. Brings them back within one kick. Richmond 9-4-58, Melbourne 8-5-53. Nearly the quarter-hour mark of this third term on Grandstand AFL. Adam Ramanauskas, Brent Harvey.
There's no question, Rama, Melbourne's pressure has lifted in the first 14 minutes of this quarter. I think they've been fantastic. I'm not sure what the tackles, if it even says that it's they've lifted, but you can feel the presence that they've got now around the football. The little things are starting to go their way.
Yeah, just on that tackle, because Chandler didn't take him to ground, really.
It was a slip. He slips.
So
he got rid of the ball quite
easily. It was a clean handball.
It was a 4 or 5 metre handball.
Was given away, so he might have went a touch early there, the umpire.
He's a bit of a fire starter, isn't he? Kate Chandler, who brings energy up to 9 goals for the season alongside Cosy Pickett, the 2018 rookie lifted draft.
Did he just throw that?
Grundy knocked it down. It looked like a throw. Straight to Taranto, who drives Richmond inside 50. Rebound almost a one-headed mark. Martin emerges from it, dribbles towards goal and misses end over end. Just the left-hand side of the left goal post. The pack was crashed and Martin all of a sudden was the only one standing. Richmond by 6 points.
Oh, dodgy short kick in from Hibberd to May. May's under pressure, umpire says held in.
See, in that previous contest with May and Revolt, Lever was right next to it. Usually he would go to that, but he got caught halfway because his direct opponent right at the moment is Dustin Martin.
Ball up, right forward pocket for the Tigers, winning it down Grundy. Taranto's kick smothered. Hibberd gets it back. High ball. They'll camp underneath it. McIntosh goes up. Fresh Aries it. Now coming through Hibbert. There's a free kick. And it will go the way of the D's. Viney will get it in the left back pocket. 0437 774 774. Keep your text coming.
This is the luxury Melbourne have now. If they go down the line, they're going long to Gawn, who's resting forward.
Winding towards Grundy and Gawn. Gawn can't get a fly at it. Bolter got hands to it. Spills the way of Dan Rioli. Hand pass to Baker. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Vlosten marks to his chest in front of Fritsch. Everyone is in Richmond's attacking half of the ground, so Vlosten needs to look for options. Sends it out to the southern wing for Dan Rioli. Short to Taranto. Barely 15. Hand pass back to Dan Rioli. Chisels a kick to Revolt. Takes the mark
again, Boom.
Directly in front. A great stationary leap. Well, he was able to pull in the mark in front of Hibbert.
But it's the same thing, Clinchy, where you look at Revolt, he's just got that metre or two on Stephen May. So Revolt knows he's just got to continue to hit up all night because Stephen May wants to sit off. He wants to drop back. Smart play by Jack.
3 goals, 2 so far tonight for Jack Revolt. In this arm wrestle of a third term, Melbourne trying to get close, Richmond trying to answer back. Revolt directly in front, 45 metres out, great kick on its way, straight through the middle. 4 for Jack. And the Tigers have a 12-point lead at the 17-minute mark of the third quarter. 10-5-65 to Melbourne, 8-5-53. You're with Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey with you on ABC Sport.
And I think you're spot on, Rama. You called it very early. It was after Jack's first or second goal that you said that May relies on Lever and Lever relies on May as well. So, and you're right. And Jack's got such a good burst of speed off the mark. So he goes and May reacts to it, and then he's got to go as well. But credit to Rioli too. He had 3 or 4 little touches there where they're all just dropping your eyes and making the Melbourne defenders actually defend their opponent rather than just kicking the ball in high and long.
Not a bad point raised on the SMS around the quick whistle, possibly to avoid the sling tackle.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that.
We need to know, though, don't we?
If there's no prior opportunity and the umpire doesn't think the ball's coming out, blow the whistle, throw it up.
From the restart, knocked down there by Miller. Pickett swoops onto the footy here for the Tigers. Chips towards a leading target in Cochin. Cochin marks, wants to head towards Martin. Martin slips over. McVee marks for the D's, gives it off to Hunter. Hunter will kick around the northern wing. Grundy leading out to the footy, gathers on the bounce, gives it back to Chandler. Chandler loses it in the Bolter tackle, goes again, he's gang tackled. He's got nowhere to go, wants the boundary line, holding it. Pickett picks it up and will take the kick for the Tigers. So they lead by 12 points, Richmond.
Comes in ball looking for Martin. Hunter dropped the mark, so Dustin Martin swoops back onto it. Centre wing on the members' side. Kicks a spiralling ball towards half forward. It's spoiled away from Miller. Dan Rioli couldn't take it cleanly. He has a second go at it and then takes a bounce, running away from Jordan. Hand pass to Marlon Pickett. Works it to Taranto. To Clark on 50. Fires towards the goal mouth. Looking for Cumberland. Gawn got back with Hibbert. And Hibbert's able to knock it out to Langdon. Gets Melbourne out of defence with a hand pass to Bowie, but for how long? As the intercepting mark is taken by Jaden Short. His centering kick just finds Taranto. Over Bailey Fritsch at the edge of the centre square for the Tigers. Chips it to Martin right on 50. He's got 2 behinds next to his name, Dustin Martin, as he veers around to the right. He's going to give it everything. It's out to the left, and it might be out on the full.
That's a poor kick by Martin. He was setting up so he could run around and get that little extra distance.
He wanted
to have a shot.
He wanted the goal.
Shot, yeah. Ends up kicking it on the full.
It's bold to say Dusty has limitations, but he might after the age of 30.
Petrarca kicks towards halfback. Off hands. Grundy goes in, gives it to Brayshaw.
Every day.
Yeah, that was a throw. Brayshaw onto it. He'll kick the D's towards half forward. Vlosten holding against Fritsch. Fritsch will get the free kick after he sweeps the hair back. Now he chips it short to Neil Bullen. Marks 51 metres out.
Who's that? Who's the player lying flat on his stomach there?
Richmond.
Jaden Short. There's going to be a free kick here. It's going to be reversed. I assume
Short was shot, yeah.
Now Grimes is kicked. Dicey just gets to hop up. Richmond inside their D50.
Works it to Short. Kicks to Taranto. He marks it half back. Looks out the southern wing. The Tigers have players on the move. Mark is taken by Mansell. He looks inside 50. Can't get it to Jack Revolt. And Bowie takes intercepting mark for Melbourne. Short to Petrarca, straight through the middle of the ground for Melbourne. Finds Rivers, hand pass around the back to Jordan. Straight down the middle looking for Grundy, who was heading towards the goal. Grimes didn't take the mark, now he's got Pickett, who took him high. Scotty Pickett tried to close in space quickly. Dylan Grimes takes the free kick for the Tigers.
Kicks towards the northern wing. Onto the chest of Judson Clark. His kick not great. Sets a task for Cochin. Now Hunter's in there for the D's. Handball to Fritsch. To Oliver. Streaming forward. Kick on the bounce to Petrarca. He'll arch his back. Get a handball away. Jordan. He'll set sail for home. And somehow tumble it through. He kicks the goal to bring the D's right back into this contest. It's back to one straight kick. 9-5-59 plays 10-5-65. 22 minutes into the third term here on Grandstand AFL.
I'll just keep the ball moving, keep it in motion, keep it flowing. These did a great job there. They didn't stop. There was mistakes. Balls on the ground. Like the Oliver kick inside was poor, but just keep the ball rolling forward. That encourages run. Once you want to keep the ball in motion, you'll see players just run boom because they know they're going to get the handball.
It wasn't a pretty goal.
Nah, not at all.
There was a few mistakes. It wasn't even the kick for goal wasn't great. But I just feel that momentum is coming from Melbourne now. Inside 50s this quarter, 13-9 Richmond's way, but Melbourne have kicked another goal at them.
Back in the middle, Grundy wins down the tap to Petrarca. A few of the key contributors getting involved along towards Gorn. Gloston comes up, double fists it forward. Pickett couldn't read the bounce. It spills the way of Baker. Kicks off the outside of the boot. Up towards McIntosh. Cleverly tried to knock it onto Shea Bolton, who now becomes the tackler on Rivers. Takes him over the boundary line. And a throw in at right half forward for the Demons. Within 6 points once more. Richmond 10-5-65. Melbourne 9-5-59. Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, Brent Harvey, Adam Ramanaskis and Tim Hodges with you on the Anzac E footy.
Umpire brings it back in. Grundy tries to take it out of the ruck. Drops it, picks it up, gives it off to Rivers. High ball inside 50 for the D's. Miller does well. Fists it out of play, throwing right forward pocket for the D's. On the SMS, Rivers to Jordan is always funny. Makes me think of the Rivers of Babylon. On the SMS. From the throw-in. Gorn knocks it down towards his feet. Going in quickly is Jordan. He's wrapped up. One goal the difference. The D's just chipping away at this Richmond lead, which was as big as 25 points.
Gorn and Miller. Gorn wins down the tap, but it's Prestia who sharks it for the Tigers. Hand pass to Clark into the middle of the ground. Campbell, an awkward landing, and Levers onto it. He gathers for Melbourne, kicks inside 50, over short, bounces clear of Baker. It's up to Bolter to try and clear it for the Tigers. Hand pass to Young, put him under pressure. Baker tries to knock it towards the boundary. Hand pass stayed in as Viney gathers. Hand passes it back to Chandler on 50. To Hunter trying to dodge around an opponent. Awkward kick to Viney. Hand pass to Chandler. Gorn the deepest target. Can't get to him. He's the rover. Big Max has it. Hand pass looking for Viney. Intercepted by Taranto. Jack Viney has another go at it. Tackled by Taranto. Spills to Miller. Knocks it down to Morris Rioli Jr.
Now Richmond trying to slingshot. Prestia kicks towards half forward. May able to intercept. Handball to no one in particular. Bolton goes in. Morris Rioli Jr. tries to pick it up. Umpire will say holding the ball. Pings Chandler. Bolton with the free kick for Richmond. Goes towards full forward. Samson Ryan. Too tall with the mismatch. Opposed to Bowie.
But that is terrific play by Samson Ryan. He put the pressure on Grundy. And Grundy didn't want to go with him inside forward 50. So had the smaller Bowie on him. He was always going to take the mark. Grundy was he was dawdling at 50.
Yes, and this will probably tell you your answer from before, Ramo, if it was class or it was
fluke.
Ryan comes in.
Oh.
The post. Slaps the turf in frustration. A let off. Back beyond one straight kick though. 7 points. Richmond's advantage.
206 centimetres. Samson Ryan has the head right over the footy as he unloads on goal. Stephen May brings Melbourne back into play. Long towards Gawn. Got hands to it. Couldn't take the mark. Miller ducked one tackle. Van Rooyen lays the second. Hand pass to Bolter. Kick smothered. It spills to Oliver. Hand pass to Melbourne to Hunter. Links up with Bailey Fritches. A long way up the ground on the wing. Member side. Hand pass back to Hunter. Tries to take on Miller. Ducks the tackle. Hand pass back to Fritsch. Now who does he kick to? Gawn at half forward. Arms outstretched. Pulls it in on the second bite. He has it at left half forward. 60 metres out from home. Pickett's in the pocket. He veers out to the right. He might go all himself. He misses everything. Out to the left, out of bounds on the ball.
Yeah, this is where
trying to get up a full head of steam.
Yeah, but this is where Melbourne are really missing Ben Brown. He always comes at the kicker in that situation, finds the space.
Short will kick long for the Tigers and going up Miller. Good grab.
Like Max was waiting and waiting and waiting. In the end, there was no option. So he's in every right to have a shot at goal.
Gives it off to Short, who kicks to Rewalt. Might have been a little shove. Can't take the mark. Gives it off by hand to Bolton. Short for Morris Rioli Jr. Not quite. Jordan comes in for the D. Slick pick up. Handball to Lever. Sweeps the handball to Brayshaw. Morris Rioli Jr. got him. Holding the ball.
That is outstanding by Morris Rioli Jr. What a tackle.
It was an amazing tackle. He actually kicked the ball though.
Did he?
Yeah, he kicked the ball. It was an amazing tackle.
Just came off the side of the boot.
Well, shouldn't be holding the ball then. He's made contact with the ball.
It did graze the outside.
Only just.
Well, it's not. He's kicked it.
It trickled away 3 or 4 metres.
Gee, what a tackle. He made some ground up, didn't he? Wow. One of the best tackles I've seen.
Yeah, we saw
this year.
Connor Nash. Was it yesterday? With that bone-jarring tackle. That was just as good by Morris Rioli.
Morris Rioli Jr. He was electric on the chase and he misses. Right. Rammer, I know you like your basketball. They say their ball don't lie. Maybe it shouldn't have been a free kick and a little let-off. 10-7-67 Richmond, Melbourne 9-5-59, 28 minutes into the third.
23-17, the free kicks Richmond's way as May with a long searching kick looking for Viney, couldn't pull in the mark, slapped back into play cleverly by Mansell, gets it to the advantage of Young who comes inboard and Hopper takes the mark. Centering on the southern side, plays on, Pickett comes charging at him, kicks inside 50, Lever in front of Revolt, takes the mark for Melbourne, hand pass to Viney, ran into Mansell who lays the tackle, gets the hand pass away to Bowie, hugs the boundary line with a kick up to Langdon, who marks centre wing for Melbourne.
Chips it forward. Neil Bullen's running on. Marks and then skips back off it. Now he wants to move it on quickly. Long ball inside 50. Pickett flies, so too Fritsch. Dan Rioli stays down, gathers. Handball to himself, KB style. Flicking it up. Langdon to Cozzy Pickett. He'll kick towards goal. Right to the goal square. It'll tumble across the face. And Marlon Pickett will keep it in for the Tigers. He'll handball to himself. Has to go and get it at half-back. Brayshaw will come in. Big collision. Pickett going low. Brayshaw the other way, and Brayshaw will get the free kick. The umpire will pay the advantage. Handball from Hunter to Jordan. Runs into a dead end. Just gets a handball away. Now Sparrow kicks back and spots up Clayton Oliver. It was chaotic. It was clumsy at time, and Clayton finishes with it. 45 out and a kick after the three-quarter time siren.
Everyone needed a spell there, didn't they?
I think if Pickett has his time again, he takes it out. But just didn't need to try and take it along the boundary line there. There's 3 Melbourne players ahead of him, so he had no option.
To bring it back to a couple of points at the final change. Clayton Oliver from right on the 50. The kick is good. It's a 2-point ball game as we turn for home on Anzac Eve. The Demons come and get around Clary. 10-5-65. Plays 10-7-67. Richmond leading at three-quarter time. The goal kickers for Richmond. Rewalt with 4. Cumberland with 3. All of those in the opening term. Samson Ryan, Ryan Mansell and Jacob Hopper all with singles, while for Melbourne, Kate Chandler, the solo multiple goal kicker, singles to Cozzy Pickett, Harry Petty, Bailey Fritsch, Alex Neil-Bullen, James Jordan, Langdon, Oliver and Viney. It's all set up here on Anzac Eve on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, now streaming as well through the ABC Listen app. This is Grandstand AFL.
ABC Listen. It's hard not to love Bluey. Whatever your age, it's the biggest little show on earth. Yeah! But have you ever wondered what goes into making an episode? Well, there's a new podcast called Behind Bluey that takes you right behind the scenes. Each week you'll hear from the show's creator, Joe Brum, and his creative team, explaining exactly how all the magic is made. The new podcast, Behind Bluey, only on the ABC Listen app. ABC Listen. It's hard not to love Bluey. Whatever your age, it's the biggest little show on earth. Yeah! But have you ever wondered what goes into making an episode? Well, there's a new podcast called Behind Bluey that takes you right behind the scenes. Each week you'll hear from the show's creator, Joe Brum, and his creative team, explaining exactly how all the magic is made. The new podcast, Behind Bluey, only on the ABC Listen app. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Grundy down to Petrarca, kick partially smothered, spills to Baker, Hatmaster short under pressure, Chandler's onto it, steps onto the left, beautiful finish. A high kick inside 50, McIntosh underneath, spoiled away by Hunter, straight to Jack Rebold, spinning out of traffic and jamming it on his right for his third. Turning back the clock.
Well, dangerous kick in from Rioli. Getting involved is Neil-Bullen. Now Boston's under the pump, gets a handball away, but too late. Holding the ball. And Chandler has pinned him in the pocket. Tight angle left forward pocket. Chandler comes in, steers it through, and he's igniting the D's.
Pass back to Dan Rioli, chisels a kick to Rebold. Rebold directly in front, 45 metres out, great kick on its way, straight through the middle. 4 for Jack.
Kick on the bounce to Petrarca. He'll arch his back, get a handball away. Jordan, he'll set sail for home and somehow tumble it through. Now Sparrow kicks back and spots up Clayton Oliver from right on the 50. The kick is good.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
So it's a 2-point ball game at three-quarter time here on Grandstand AFL. Richmond 10-7-67, playing Melbourne 10-5-65. Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey are with us. Where to from here, gents?
Well, it's exactly what I thought Melbourne would come out and do that quarter. That we mentioned they went to another gear with their defence, so ball not in hand, they lifted just slightly, they put Richmond under enough pressure, and they chipped away. 4 goals to 2 that quarter, and that's all they need to do again to win this game of football. You know that good teams don't go away, and Melbourne is certainly a good team, so Richmond have got to be on their ball this quarter to keep going. I'm loving what Richmond are doing by dropping their eyes, making using Rewalt, making May, Lever defend, and they're shifting the defence as well, Rama. They're going around, they're not scared to switch the ball, and sometimes even double switch, just to make Melbourne absolutely shift their defence. And when they get in there, Rioli, that quarter was exceptional, just dropping his eyes. He had 3 in a row, and that last one hit Rewalt where he scored a goal. Was fantastic work, but they're a good team, Melbourne. They're not just going to go away. 4 goals to 2 that quarter. I think they'll do the same this quarter, 4 goals to 2 or thereabouts, and they'll end up winning by a couple of goals.
Well, I mentioned it at half-time, how high the intensity of this game is. It just didn't drop away in that quarter. If you look at the inside 50s for both teams in that quarter, 17 to Melbourne, 16 to Richmond. Yeah. So the ball just went back and forth, back and forth. What wins this game in this last quarter is who's willing to apply the pressure. Melbourne only had 10 tackles that quarter. That's what concerns me a little bit. Richmond were able to lay 17 in that quarter, so that's not a bad number. I think for Melbourne to win this game, they've got to slow Richmond down, because Richmond just seem like they've been able to fight through a couple of tackles. been able to get Jack Revolt on a lead? Can they get Noah Cumberland back into the game, who was electric that quarter? Can they isolate Dusty enough in this last quarter? He's had a couple of shots at goal, Dusty. He's had 3 shots at goal for 2 behinds. Dusty, can they get him isolated to kick a couple of goals? Jaden Short's been terrific in this game. I just think he's been so missed for the Tigers. He's had 24 possessions, but 17 of those have been kicks, and just continues to take space. Makes Melbourne think their defenders, well, what's he going to do? Is he going to drop it in short, or is he going to go that 60 or 70 metre kick? So, look, thrilling last quarter coming up.
Maxie Gawn got himself into the game very early. That quarter had three shots on goal, I think it was, as well. So he's going to play a pivotal part in this.
Absolutely sprayed him like no other.
He did. He's up forward again. He's starting up forward. They've got Grundy in the ruck, so this is going to be very interesting to see. Let's have a great last quarter, boys.
So Richmond lead by 2 points as the final quarter gets underway. Grundy lays the tap down. Bolton gets the handball out. Stolen, though, by Petrarca to Brayshaw. Kick smothered by Taranto. Richmond get it back. Handball to Hopper. Kicks inside 50. Nearly a collision. Cochin and Rewalt. Spoiled away, though. Loose footy in the middle of the ground. Hopper onto it. Handball to Rioli. Tumbles the Tigers inside 50. May can't quite gather. Neither can Lever. It might allow in Miller. Going low, May. Free kick. Low contact.
It's got to be, Boomer.
No, 100%. Totally agree. He just shouldn't have went to ground.
Yeah.
May shouldn't have went to ground.
All he needed to do was just stay on his feet, turn his body, because Miller had his back turned. When he turned around, Stephen May just was there.
Tonight's conditions, that dewy too, it makes it worse because you hit the ground and you actually slide a metre and a half, and it looks worse than what it is. But he didn't have to go to ground, and Stephen May.
Ben Miller was in the team for the elimination final last year. Hasn't kicked a goal this season yet. And he still hasn't with that. It's out to the right.
Would have been a nice little start.
These are the little things.
Yeah.
When you're missing, you put your head on the pillow tonight, you can't go to sleep till about 3:30 in the morning. If you lose these close games, you know all the chances you've had.
But just come over to your house, Boomer.
Watch some TV with me, I'll be up.
May quickly into Viney, back to May, who kicks out to Sparrow, who sends it out to Clayton Oliver, who takes the mark at left half back. Hand pass to McVie, trying to generate some run on the southern side of the ground. Hand pass to Lockie Hunter, sends it around the wing looking for Grundy. Bolter cuts in front, spoils it down for the Tigers, and it's taken out of play by Samson Ryan for a throw-in.
I know I've harped on this a little bit, but he's so much a better defender, Noah Bolter, when he doesn't engage his opponent.
Yeah, use his athleticism.
Yeah, he's got so much speed and power. You don't need to show you're strong. We know you're strong.
Needs to have a no wrestling rule,
yes.
like at the Ramanaskas house. Here's Petrakis, screaming criminal stoppage, kicks towards Van Rooyen in a one-on-one. It clears him. He's trying to get on the end of it with Miller there. It spills to Chandler, who's putting through his third. 2 in the third quarter, 1 in the last. The small forward craving on the opportunity and able to put Melbourne in front by 3 points. Back in front for the first time since the opening quarter. Melbourne 11-5-71 to the Tigers 10-8-68. 2 minutes gone, final turn.
That's a free kick.
He was holding the man.
Oh, yeah. Van Rooyen would have got a free kick out of that one, but
Boston slipped over as well.
Yeah, it's just a comedy of errors there for the Tigers.
Chandler's the one, Ramo. I called him early in the game. I said I like this guy. I'm going to start calling him my man Chandler, I reckon.
Why not?
Because he's been fantastic. And he's done his job. 3 goals now. If he sneaks another one, he's nearly a match winner in tonight's conditions.
Let's go down to Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Ben, the sub has been made for the Tigers. Hugo Ralph-Smith is into the game. Ben Miller to the back seat of the bench. Ben Miller is out of this one.
Good idea by the Tigers. Bit more run.
Petrarca with the clearance. Spirals it inside attacking 50 and the mark taken by Vlosten. So poor old Ben Miller. Last action in the game, that missed-set shot. And subbed out. Vlosten with it at fullback. 3 points that he's lead. Vlosten short to Marlon Pickett. Still inside the defensive 50. Pickett will look long towards Grundy and Ryan. And then Lever too. Third man in line. He takes the mark on the logo, on the Anzac logo of this Anzac Eve fixture. He'll send it long inside attacking 50 for the big yes. Van Rooyen goes upstairs and drags in the mark. Got a little ride on Bolter. Good grab from the second-year player.
Go back and finish it now.
Helped a little knee in the face for his troubles as well, which is what led to a little bit of remonstration.
Yeah, the Melbourne boys didn't like it. Miller just sort of landed awkwardly, professionally awkwardly on his knees.
The mark deserves a goal. Van Rooyen nails it through the middle. The pendulum of this match absolutely with Melbourne. 12-5-77 plays 10-8-68. Jacob Van Rooyen with the hang in the finish. We've played 5 minutes in the fourth term.
Just a young kid who's played a handful of games to take a big pack mark like that at a crucial stage of this game. Gee, it's a good grab. He's a big lad, Rammer. He's a big lad. Goes back, kicks the goal. Well done.
He'd have the least amount of disposals of a Melbourne player on the ground, but what a moment to arrive.
You come back to the lever, intercept mark here on centre wing is a big pack, but was able to get up, take that mark, get it inside forward 50.
All of a sudden, Melbourne have kicked the last 4 goals of the match and 6 goals to 2 after half-time. Gawn wins down the tap, but it's straight to Taranto, the Tigers. Drives a kick inside 50. Cumberland the target. He spoils it down over the top of May. Spills to Hibbert. Awkwardly kicks out towards Hunter. Can't pull in the mark. McIntosh right there with him. McVie for Melbourne. Hard against the boundary. Bumped by Ralph Smith, but is able to steer his kick up to Viney. And he takes the mark at left half back on the southern side of the MCG.
I'm sure Simon Goodwin would have reminded his players about Richmond's last quarter last week. Sydney just completely overwhelmed the Tigers in that last quarter at the Adelaide Oval last week.
Inside the defensive 50 to Lever, who sends it up to Gawn at half back. Down past to Rivers, has Cossie Pickett short. Sends it his way and he marks on the member's side. Can work it back to Rivers over the top. Melbourne haven't lost a final term so far this season. 5-0 in 2023 as Rivers has it between wing and half forward.
Rivers run infield and then kick long towards the pack in the Van Rooyen direction again. He can't take the mark this time, but as good as he'll get a free kick. 35 out, a slight angle, and Van Rooyen is on a mini heater at the moment.
Yeah, he's having just a couple of really ordinary minutes, Tyler Young.
Hasn't had a lot of the ball, as you mentioned earlier, I think, Clinchy, but, geez, the last couple of minutes. His kicking style reminds me of one of my ex-teammates, Big Drew Petrie.
Oh.
He comes really high through the football.
Big Frank the Tank.
Big Frankie.
Good man. Drew, shout out. I'm sure he's listening. Van Rooyen. For a couple of goals in a couple of minutes, he misses right.
Drew would have kicked it.
This is why you love football. You might not have a big first 3 quarters, but you got to take your moments. He's taken a hanger, Van Rooyen, to kick the goal. Had another attempt there.
Short brings the Tigers back in. Vlosten along up to the southern wing. Brayshaw takes the intercepting mark. Over the top of Cochin. Centre wing on the southern side. Richmond kicked 5 of the first 7 goals of the match. Melbourne have kicked 6 of the last 8. As he veers out to the right. Long kick inside 50. Where are the flyers? Van Rooyen's got it again. Standing tall in the middle of the pack. And the Roo is arriving on the MCG. Can he capitalise this time? A lot of arms and bodies going every which way, and in the end, Van Rooyen held his ground and held the footy.
Well, just the TV screens flashed up to the Richmond coach's box. Damien Hardwick and Ben Rutten just both shaking their head. Just a pack like that, he's got to get a spoil in.
Left forward pocket, 35 metres out. Van Rooyen comes in for his second. This time, the young Demon. And the Demons lead by 16 points with 3 goals to none in the final term. And Jacob Van Rooyen has 2 of them. Melbourne 13-6-84 to the Tigers 10-8-68. 8 minutes gone, final term on ABC Sport.
Well, they're all over him, Rammer, at the minute. 11
numbers,
11 possessions to 29. 14-3 marks at the 8-minute mark of the last quarter.
Uncontested numbers is what's really concerning. 20-5. They're getting out in space now, Melbourne. They're outrunning the Tigers. They're outworking the Tigers to get into space. Inside 50s, 5-2 to start this quarter. And Melbourne have kicked 3 goals, 1. So 4 scoring shots in the 5 attempts. So Richmond's defence and midfield have just got to be better.
Laid down in the middle. Grundy over his head, out towards Sparrow. Kick smothered by Bolton.
Here it goes again.
Spits out to Jordan, who gets a high ball inside 50 for the D's. Unable to mark Petty. Van Rooyen at the back. Might have been wrenched off it without it.
Well, he was, Benny. He's unlucky not to get a free kick there.
Maybe to the NBA Jam territory. He wouldn't just be heating up, he'd be on fire. Ryan knocks it down from the ball up, straight to Vlosten. They're quickly on him. We'll get another ball up. They lead by 16, Melbourne. They've kicked the last 5 goals.
31 disposals to 11. Samson Ryan taps it down. Straight to Sparrow, who lost it. A chance for Vlosten, and clears the defensive 50. Bolter comes out, tries to break the Rivers tackle. Grundy follows up with a good tackle for Melbourne. Rivers tries to knock it clear. Marlon Pickett's head over the footy. Half pass to Morris Rioli Jr. There's nowhere to go.
It's amazing. Kick a couple of goals to start this quarter. You get your tails up. All of a sudden the pressure starts to lift for Melbourne. The tackles just stick.
Grundy tries to take it out of the ruck, then picked up by Sparrow. His snap out of bounds on the full. Haven't had a tackle in this 4th term so far, Richmond.
Well, they haven't been able to get near Melbourne.
Even if Richmond won that last ball and that little bit of mark, they were going to kick back to a 2-on-1. Lever was a spare man down back anyway, so they're setting up super well, Melbourne.
Young with the free kick in the back pocket for Richmond. Goes long towards the wing. May goes up, bounces off his chest. Feeds out a handball. Marlon Pickett there for the Tigers. Off to the sub. Here you go, Ralph Smith. High ball forward of the logo. Whistle on the play. Free kick. It'll go to Lever. So still 16 points, Melbourne's lead.
Oh, tries to thread the needle through the middle of the ground. Petrarca couldn't take the mark. Mansell knocks it to Taranto. Here goes Dustin Martin through the middle of the MCG from 50. He misses to the right-hand side. He's had a match that could have been. Dustin Martin, 3 behinds and 1 miss out on the full.
He's had an almost game, Dusty.
A really interesting kick by Lever there too. About 4 of his teammates just went up and put their hands down and say, hey, mate, let's settle that a little bit more.
Hibbert goes long. Petty launches at it. Doesn't mark. Oliver's there. Ball spits out to Cochin. Handball goes out wide. Looking for McIntosh. Gathers and snaps back to a central position. Dusty, 2-on-1. Slaps it back in. McIntosh, he keeps it in as well. Now Prestia. He'll snap back towards the top of the goal square. Ryan in good position. Rivers goes up. Rivers gets it at ground level. Off the Bowie. Thumps the D's back into the middle of the ground.
Boston takes the intercepting mark. Looks out towards Taranto. He marks 60 metres out from home directly in front. He's got Pickett in the pocket. He spots him now. It's out wide. It bounces off his chest. He can't take the mark. And it trickles out of play in front of the Melbourne fans in the Olympic stand, who are letting him know about it, the opportunity that was lost. Tigers with 3 inside 50s in this final term. Melbourne have had 7. Kicked the opening 3 goals of this final term, the last 5 goals of the match. Bolter doing the ruck work against Grundy. Taps it down and Cochin's locked up. There's nowhere to go.
Umpire puts it up. Bolter spikes it down. Ricochets out to Sparrow. He'll snap towards the wing. Bouncing ball for Gawn. Gawn will knock it on. Vlosten onto it. Petty onto him. Petty will wrap him up. Umpire says high. Petty throws his head back in disgust. Free kick to Vlosten. Wheels and goes. Long inside attacking 50. Looking for Ryan with the sticky fingers. Samson Ryan stands tall and takes the mark.
He's made a good target. Inside 50. I think Richmond have found a play here in Samson Ryan. I was impressed with him last week, and even more impressed with him this week.
Mark set 30 metres out. Slightest of angles. Samson Ryan, to keep the Tigers' hopes alive, he fans it out to the right. Behind.
Was he playing as a forward then, Rammer?
Yeah, he was.
As a ruck
forward. Miller's in the ruck.
Yep.
14 points. Tim Hodges downstairs.
No, just further to that, Jack Rewalt's sitting on the bench beside me at the moment, so he is forward.
May into Brayshaw to Oliver, back to May, around the wing. Max Gawn takes the mark. In front of Young, between wing and half forward for the Demons. High kick inside 50. Fritsch sets himself, spoiled away. Viney stays down. Hand pass missed Cozzy Pickett. In the left forward pocket under the Eternal Flame, and a boundary throw in with Melbourne leading by 14 points.
That's the worry now, Boomer. Like, you look how easy Melbourne took that ball from one end of the ground to the other inside forward 50. Richmond are definitely slowing down. They need to find a second or third or fourth wind in this last quarter to get back into it.
From the throw-in, no decisive tap. Comes out in the end to Taranto. Snaps around the corner for the Tigers towards the wing. Judson Clark spikes it back into Morris Rioli Jr. Right there with him, Brayshaw. Tackles him to ground. Umpire lets them play. May away to Bowie. He'll kick towards half forward. Somehow in the end, Jaden Short, amongst flying bodies, he stays down. Comes up with the mark for the Tigers.
Good mark.
Spots Hopper free, finds him on the southern wing. Hand pass to Morris Rioli Jr. Dodging and weaving around Grundy. Hand pass to Martin. Kick smothered by Neil Bullen. Ricochets back to Taranto. He drives it inside 50. Cumberland on the lead. Hibbert sets himself in front. Flies in from the side and takes the intercepting mark for Melbourne.
He's got to compete there, Cumberland.
Oh, not a great kick.
Well,
looking for Brayshaw. Hopper was taken high. He might have hurt himself, Hopper. Free kick going Richmond's way.
He's unlucky not to get a 50-metre penalty there. Hopper.
Jacob Hopper is down on all fours as the flag has to be returned to him.
Very late by Angus Brayshaw.
So Hopper is slowly right to take his kick, but we're all staggered why it wasn't 50. Sends it into the pocket. No one really there. Clark was the only target. In the end, Rivers takes the intercepting mark for Melbourne. Punt road end. Demons leading by 14 points. 16 minutes gone. Final term.
Oh, the short kick is a little dodgy and a turnover straight to Baker. More than a little dodgy, it was a lot.
Who had that? Who kicked that?
Rivers.
That's two silly mistakes. Lever had one. Rivers.
I reckon he was cramping a few moments before, sort of stretching it out. Not that that's any excuse.
So Brayshaw on the mark. Baker to try and keep Richmond coming. His kick is narrow.
What's that there?
Can't capitalise at the moment.
That's their fourth miss of the quarter, the Tigers. So 3-1 to 4 behinds and all gettable for the Tigers.
19 scoring shots to 21. Richmond being 21, more scoring shots than them.
Sort of feels like the Tigers of old. 17, 19 and 20 would have found a way. Langdon long out of defence up towards Petty. Bolter brought it down. Here's Shea Bolton, who's been quiet tonight. Kicks towards Jack Rebold on the bounce. Can't take it. Becomes the tackler on Jordan. The footy is stuck underneath. The umpire will ball it up. 50 metres out from the Tigers' goal. They're perennially trying to knock down the door, but can't quite strike gold yet. Umpire tosses it in the air. Grundy and Bolter. Bolter wins it down straight to Oliver. Clearing kick only as far as Jaden Short, who knocks it away from Neil Bullen. Marlon Pickett onto it for the Tigers. Swings onto his left-hand side. Kicks towards Revolt. Stephen May's there and punches it out of play. Boundary throw in the left forward pocket for the Tigers. They've kicked 4 behind, so Melbourne's 3-1. But all of a sudden they've had 10 inside 50s to 8 in this final term.
Got to get a move on the Tigers. If they want something to happen, they've got to kick this next goal in the next couple of minutes just to keep the game alive.
Yeah, 18 minutes into this final term. They need one soon. Bolter doing the ruck work. Bolton trying to burst his way through. Picks it up eventually. Then he's tackled. Umpire will say he's holding it.
He's got to knock that on. You've got to get that into space, Boomer, there. Now, I know he's trying to make something out of nothing, Bolton, but sometimes he's got to do the simple.
Grundy sends the D's long to the wing. Gawn going up, drops the mark, and at ground level, Short. 1-2 there with Baker. They're going backwards here, the Tigers. Eventually a switch. Mansell will mark. He'll send it out to the southern wing. Ralph Smith marks.
Here's the sub into the action for Miller. Laurie's still not used by Melbourne, although the turnover from Ralph Smith, and the mark is taken by Bowie with an intercepting mark. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
The sub has just been made, Matty. Bailey Laurie comes into the game. Trent Rivers given the sub's vest. He's now out.
Thanks, Hodgie. Bowie Up to Neil Bullen, centre wing on the southern side. Veers out to the right. Long kick inside 50. Van Rooyen and Petty. Petty got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Mansell tackled by Petrarca. Hand pass to Prestia under enormous pressure. Knocks it back to Vlosten. Ran into Gawn. Knocks it out the way of Young. He turns and kicks to the voice. It was Judson Clark. And the Tigers from half back.
And now it could all open up if he can get his kick to Rewalt. He can't. Coming across Hibberd. He's there to mop up. Handball out towards the wing. Picked up by McVie. Handball to Jordan. Handball away to Langdon, who kicks the D's around the boundary line. There to Petrarca. Handball over the top. Viney marks. Tries to go on his right. Cozzy Pickett. He will get the free kick downfield. Mansell dealt with Viney.
And well done to Hibberd on the half-back flank there. Rewalt was going to run onto the football. Hibberd chose to leave his man, be brave, and impacted the contest. Well done.
So this would take something special. Mark set 40 metres out, a metre in from the boundary line. But if anybody could. Pickett's going with the drop punt. The kick is pretty good. It'll go to the line and off hands. Was there a boot on it? Gawn thinks he's got his boot on it. He's celebrating as such. Welcome back, Big Max. We'll check it. David Roden wants to find out. Gawn down there on the line. Did it take a little bit of boot?
He's good, D-Rod, too. Doesn't go to the monitor very often, D-Rod.
Oh, it definitely deflects. I think he has. Do you agree, Runner?
Just whether the ball's over the line when it hits his boot.
Van Rooyen's right in the way of that best angle camera.
And ruined the shot.
So I think it's... oh, wow.
It's going to be a goal.
Umpire's call was a goal.
All clear, David Roden. The D's kick away off the very end of Max Gawn's boot. They're out by 19 points. 14-6-90 plays 10-11-71. 22 minutes into the fourth term on Grandstand AFL, and it feels like enough.
Just that free kick there against Mansell on Viney. Wasn't much at all really into it. Viney's momentum was sort of going that way, and but again, it's poor defending on the goal line by Richmond. That should just be punched straight through for a rush behind and then a kick out.
Last 6 goals the Demons have kicked.
Just quickly, the crowd tonight, 83,985.
So they were hoping between 75 to 80. We've exceeded that.
Second highest crowd for an Anzac Eve.
With hopefully close to 90,000 in attendance tomorrow. Viney gets the clearance from Melbourne, works it to Petrarca, long kick inside 50. Van Rooyen, second, third point, he's paid the mark, cutting in front of Max Gawn. What a final term he's having. He's taken a long time to get involved in the match. What a time it is to stand up on a big stage.
Not sure he had first bite of the cherry, but
doesn't matter.
You normally get paid when they're like that, don't they, in the pack marks?
I think you're right, Max Gawn may have had a touch on it. Jacob Van Rooyen.
It's 3 marks inside 50 for the quarter for the young man, so he's had a huge influence on this result in the last term.
Directly in front, 35 metres out from goal. The young demon comes in and puts through his third. Melbourne with the last 7 goals of the match. They're running away from the Tigers. 4 goals to none in the final term. 4-1 to Richmond's 4 behinds. 5-1 to Richmond's 4 behinds in Melbourne. 15-6-96 to the Tigers, 10-11-71.
You take it all the way back to the start of this last quarter, and I think it was Miller who had the set shot.
Yeah.
Goes straight across the face for Richmond's first behind of the quarter. Melbourne take it up the other end and score straight away, and they've just carried that momentum on. 20 more possessions this quarter, plus 5 in contested, plus 15 in uncontested. You know, the inside 50s are similar. It's 11-10 in Melbourne's favour, but Melbourne have scored 6 times inside their forward 50.
From the restart, Poulter in the ruck, knocks it down, but Oliver onto it for Melbourne. Handball back to Langdon, who gives it back to Oliver. Kicking through the logo up towards half forward. No one there to mark it. Getting it forward is Laurie, who's into the game. There to mop up. Short for the Tigers. Gives it off to Marlon Pickett. Kick towards Hopper. Paid the mark. He'll sweep a handball away to Hugo Ralph Smith at centre half back.
Into the middle of the ground. Dustin Martin takes the mark. A night of what could have been for Dusty. He veers out to the right and drives it long. Jack Revolt the target. He tried to get a run up, but Stephen May set in front of him. And he takes the intercepting mark for Melbourne. Sends it out to the back pocket. McVee takes the mark and advances it up to Sparrow. He has it on the left half back. Back to McVee. Hard against the boundary. Around the southern side of the MCG. He hugs the boundary line with a kick to Laurie. He gets the hand pass to Hunter underground. It doesn't quite work to Neil Bullen, and eventually it goes out of play for a boundary throw in. So Rammer with Tom McDonald and Ben Brown both out of the side. Does Jacob Van Rooyen all of a sudden start to become an automatic selection?
Well, he holds his spot with these 3 goals. I think it's what you do with Harrison Petty. I think is more the question if that's a viable option. But I would imagine Ben Brown comes back into the team when he's fully fit again.
Gawn takes it out of the ruck, snaps it inside 50. Grimes quickly onto it. He'll kick into the middle of the ground for Richmond.
Oh, he's done his hamstring,
Morris Rioli Jr.'s pulled up as May gets onto the footy. Handballs out towards
stop running, Morris.
And he tries to go again, Morris, and lays a little bit of a tackle on Petty, then limps off as Langdon gets a handball away. Here's Laurie. D's with it on the wing. Oliver. Handball back towards Brayshaw, and Brayshaw will sweep a handball back to Petty.
And Cumberland's down off the play as well, so Petty sends it up towards Fritsch at half forward. Ralph Smith's there, spills to the back. Van Rooyen tries to knock it on off the boot of Mansell, and it goes out of play in the right forward pocket for the Demons.
I reckon must have been just a cramp, Rammer, because if you do your hammy, I don't reckon you're running like that for a second.
If he's cramping, they would have him on the massage mat, I would imagine.
A couple of minutes ago, I reckon they might have just said...
Well, fingers crossed it's a cramp.
Yeah, same.
Melbourne by 25 points. They have North Melbourne next Saturday night. Throw-in clears Brodie Grundy. A chance for Oliver, although he toe pokes it to Bowie. He's tackled by Dustin Martin. And the umpire will ball it up at right half forward.
Umpire puts it aloft and knocking it down Gawn. Now the ball spits out inside attacking 50 for the D's, but Ralph Smith's there to gather. Gives it off to Martin, to Cochin, to Taranto, chaining handballs through the middle. Handball out in front of Hopper. Bouncing ball, big collision. Coming one way, Petty, Hopper the other. Ends up with Martin, now Cochin. Handball away. Martin onto it, big don't argue on Hibbert. He gets around the corner, kicks to the goal square, and letting it go through is Cumberland. And Dusty still shows he's got some tricks. A consolation prize for Richmond. 11-11-77 they trail Melbourne. 15-6-96. 27 and a half minutes into the fourth.
Very unselfish there by Cumberland, who's already got 3 goals.
You marking that, Boone?
Me, Rammer, I'm marking that every day of the week.
Got to make sure it's not hitting the post,
Mate,
don't you, Boomer?
Well, you know what? If you don't mark that and it scrapes the post, the runner comes out and says, the coach says, mark that, Rammer. Don't be an idiot.
1 goal, 3 for Dustin Martin, and 1 out on the full. It's the Tigers' first goals since the 17-minute mark of the third quarter. In a final term of what could have been 4 behinds as Melbourne were able to take control of this contest and put on 7 consecutive goals. From the ball up in the middle of the ground, Baker gathers, tries to break away from Petrarca. He can't wrestle his way clear.
It's almost mirror image to last Friday night, Clinchy, for the Tigers.
It is. Gawn tries to take another ruck one-handed, can't get boot to ball. Laurie's hand passes straight to Dan Rioli of the Tigers. Hand pass to Taranto, kicks up towards Cochin in a wrestle with Bowie. Bowie spoils it down onto the footy, tackled by Short, spills out the way of Viney. Hand pass back to centre half back for Hibbert and Melbourne. Hand pass it straight to Cochin, trying to find a way forward. He squeezes the kick looking for Jack Revolt. Was there an arm over the shoulder? Not paid against Petty. Cumberland onto it, on the left, great smother. Lunging forward. Bowie gets a hand to it and sees it out of play, much to the delight of the Melbourne fans in the Olympic stand and the encouragement from Angus Brayshaw.
Great desperation. The game's over, but still have that desperation to want to do that. Really impressive by Bowie.
Bolter knocks it down in front. Coming through, Petrarca spins out of trouble, gets a handball away. Now Petty. Handball back to McVie. His kick off a step. Slides off the side of the boot. Will stay in play in the end. It'll end up with Miller. He'll give it away to Oliver. Oliver with a high ball towards the wing. Launching at it, Fritsch through his hands. Spills to the back of Loston. Gives it off to Short. Short on the logo. Will send Richmond long inside 50. Going up for the mark. Cumberland brings it down. Loose footy at half forward. Baker goes in. Dustin Martin too. Tries to break a tackle. Gets it off to Taranto. Handball to Bolton. Immediately set upon. Brayshaw's onto him. And Brayshaw holds him up. And we'll get a ball up here at centre half forward. Melbourne lead by 19 points.
Thrown up. Spills down the way of Dustin Martin. Tackled by McVie. A chance for Caution, who gets the hand pass away to Dan Rioli. Kicks inside 50. No one's there. And Clayton Oliver takes the mark. He bounces away from centre half back. Kicks out in front of Neil Bullen. Centering on the southern side. Can't gather. Knocked off it by Vlosten. He then picks up the footy. Hand pass back towards Oliver. He can't gather. Marlon Pickett can. Takes the bounce. Gets to 55. Goes for home. Bolter in the goal square. And ricochets off him. And through for a minor score. Melbourne by 18 points. So Melbourne 15-6-96 to the Tigers 11-12-78. And Angus Brayshaw looks to bring the Demons back in with the final kick of the night. And in front of 83,000 on Anzac Eve, Melbourne bounced back with a commanding 18-point victory. A dominant second half against the Tigers where they kicked 9 goals to 3. And Richmond's season is slowly slipping away.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag. It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgotten, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
The Tigers led by 18 points at quarter time. They kicked 5 of the first 7 goals of the match by 14 points at half time. And then Melbourne with 4 goals to 2 in the third quarter took back the lead by trailed by 2 points at three-quarter time after Clayton Oliver's goal after the three-quarter time siren. And then in the final term, it was all the way of the Demons as they were able to storm home winners by 18 points with 5 goals to 1 in the final term. The D's up to second on the AFL ladder.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag. It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgotten, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
3 goals to Jacob Van Rooyen, 3 goals to Cade Chandler. The individuals to Viney, Gawn, Oliver, Langdon, Jordan, Neil Bullen, Fritsch, Petty and Pickett. Melbourne had 11 individual goal scorers, while for the Tigers, 4 goals to Jack Riewoldt turning back the clock, 3 goals to Noah Cumberland, individuals to Martin, Hopper, Mansell and Ryan. The Demons record their 4th win of the season. They're 4-2, 18-point winners over the Tigers, who are 1 win, 1 draw and 4 losses.
So Melbourne get back on track after that disappointing loss to Essendon, and I think as well summarised by Clinchy, slipping away for the Tigers. It did feel like in this match, from the midway point of the second term when Riewoldt put Richmond out by 25 points, that Melbourne got the game looking how they wanted it looking and just slowly chipped away until the dam wall broke and eventually they ran away with it.
They did. I actually had that written down at three-quarter time. Melbourne just chipped away that quarter, winning the quarter 4 goals to 2. And that's what good teams do. You can't allow them to come back into the game. And Richmond had a couple of opportunities. You said 25 points up, and I reckon they could have been a little bit more up. Just missed opportunities. So against the good teams, unfortunately, you can't do that. Melbourne are a very good team, as we've just seen again tonight. But I like the way Richmond, they actually lowered their eyes, and we spoke about it briefly throughout the broadcast. They lowered their eyes, and they made Lever, they made May defend, and that's when they looked vulnerable, Melbourne. But they just didn't do it for long enough.
We are going to have the presentation down on the ground for the Frank Checker Hughes medal. The medal was only awarded for the first time in 2021, so Christian Petrarca won it then, Clayton Oliver winning it in 2022. Frank Checker Hughes, of course, a history with both of these clubs, coached both of them, and he's famous.
What's your tip, Benny?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there wasn't a standout on the ground today.
Oliver had 32, Viney had 30, Petrarca 26.
Petrarca had 12 inside 50s.
Van Rooyen and Chandler with 3 goals each.
Yeah, we'll see which way we go in a moment anyway. Frank Checker Hughes, most famous for when he was coaching the D's, they were nicknamed the Fuchsias. And he said, "You're all playing like a bunch of fuchsias. I need you to play like demons."
Really?
And that was when the moniker changed.
There you go.
From a flower to a demon. And that's how we arrive here. So all the players standing around. Big Maxi Gawn just finishing a TV interview, and in a moment we'll head downstairs. Let's go downstairs.
Melbourne and Richmond football clubs, I'm here tonight to announce the Frank Checker Hughes medal in honour of the 7-time Premiership player, coach and World War I veteran. Awarded to the player best on ground, the medal will be presented by Luke Allen, the great-grandson of Frank Checker Hughes. Please join me in congratulating tonight's winner, Jack Viney.
So Jack Viney on the night, 30 disposals, 80% kicking efficiency, 8 contested possessions, 5 ground ball gets, a couple of tackles and 5 clearances. He wins the medal.
Just like to say big thank you to the crowd for showing up tonight. Both teams, we love playing in this game. It's an amazing atmosphere. I love this country, best country in the world, and a large part of that's due to the people who've served this country and are serving it. So big thank you to everyone. Cheers.
Congratulations again to Jack Viney. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony. Enjoy your night.
Thanks to Libby Birch downstairs. Jack Viney taking home the Frank Checker Hughes medal. How does it sit with you, Rammer and Boomer?
No, you can't argue with it.
You can't. He was good tonight. Jack Viney's had 30 possessions, 8 contested, 2 tackles, 5 clearances.
Gets the job done.
3 centre bounce clearances, more importantly, kicked the goal. He had a strong game.
Yeah. There's an argument. There's an argument for an Oliver or a Petrarca, but any 3 of them, throw a blanket over it for me.
It's pretty good for the Melbourne midfield, isn't it? Petrarca's got one in 21, Oliver's got one in 22, and Viney adds one to his collection.
Well, Benny, the thing is tonight, you look at the stats, and if this happens most weeks, you'd think that Melbourne are going to win. Oliver's had 32, Viney's had 30, and Petrarca's had 26. They're the 3 prime movers. If that happens every single week, they win 9 out of 10, don't they? It's unbelievable. You've got to stamp one of them. I'm not sure which one it is, but you've got to stamp one of them.
So the Demons have won the last 3 Anzac Eve matches. It's also Melbourne's biggest home crowd they played in front of since 1964. So 83,985. It's a Melbourne home game. And they brought their best for their biggest home crowd since the last time, well, in the 60s they won the premiership before their most recent one.
It's starting to, it's a good night for football, isn't it? The Anzac Eve. Like you had the ceremony that in the dark, it's a little bit different to tomorrow's football. It's a really good night to be at the football. Public holiday tomorrow. A lot of fans can get here. It's perfect.
Rami, you spoke... Sorry, you go.
No, you go.
I got a text... We got a text about it a little bit earlier, but you spoke a lot throughout the night about the pace at which this game was played. The text basically said that these 2 teams were playing at a speed that a lot of other teams can only envy.
Correct.
What did we see in terms of the speed tonight?
Well, I think in the first 3 quarters, the teams matched each other in that speed. I think in the last quarter, Melbourne kept the speed up. and Richmond simply couldn't keep up with them in the end. So, it was a battle to the end, no doubt, but it was just a couple of moments in the last quarter. You know, I mentioned Ben Miller missing that goal at the start of the last quarter. Ball goes down the other end, Van Rooyen then takes a huge mark.
11-point swing.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Dusty Martin coming through the middle of the ground. We've seen him kick that goal so often, and just goes to the right of the goal. So it's just little moments. Max Gawn on the goal line. If Richmond spoil that through and Max doesn't get a toe to it, does the ball go up the other end? Richmond's kicking efficiency in the last quarter is 51%.
Yeah.
The AFL average is 67%. So they'll just way off it with their foot skills in that last quarter. Now, inside 50s for the game, Richmond win that 61 to 53.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
But the Tigers kick 11 goals 12, and Melbourne are deadly accurate at 15 goals 6.
So what's that? 23 scoring shots to 21. Two more scoring shots.
That's right.
A few more inside 50s. Eight more inside 50s. It's you look at that and you think, gee, it's an opportunity missed, don't you?
Well, the Oliver goal right on three-quarter time after the siren, does that need to happen? Does Pickett just take that ball out? Get a restart, the siren probably goes.
It felt like a massive night for Richmond. Could they meet the occasion with so many players out? And for a half, they did.
Oh, I think for three quarters they did, Clint. Like, you know, it was 4-2 in that third quarter in Melbourne's favour, but
Richmond was still 2 points up at three-quarter time.
Correct. Yep. It was a magnificent game of football. I think both teams can be very, very proud. Like, Jack Revolt's playing pretty much a lone hand up forward at the moment.
So he's 34 years of age. He's the shining light. And then there's Dustin Martin and Trent Cotchin, who maybe look like they can't do what they used to be able to do.
I thought they were better tonight, both Dusty. Dusty had an almost night.
Yeah.
He kicked 1 goal 3 and put 1 out of bounds on the full as well. So he could have easily had 3 goals on the night, Dusty. So
Cotchin was...
I thought he was better around half forward.
Yeah.
He looked more intense. He looked like he was getting to more contest. It looked like he wanted the contest, where in probably previous weeks he hasn't been at the contest like we've so regularly seen through his career. But I just thought, like, Richmond had momentum in that game at different stages. 5-2 in that first quarter, but did they truly capitalise?
The question was at the start of the game, and I think we all agreed, could Richmond find enough goal scorers to win the game for him? Cumberland pops up and kicks 3 in the first quarter. You think he's going to end up with a little bag, and Rewalt kicks his little bag. So they probably just needed a Bolton or a Martin to kick a couple more goals, didn't they?
The D's, they certainly did, Boomer. The D's being led down the race by their captain, Max Gawn, who cuts a very happy figure, smiling and clapping. And I think we can just about head to Timmy Hodges. If they're not already there, Hodgie, they won't be far away.
I tell you what, Benny, there's the most magnificent crowd in the Melbourne rooms. It's chockers in here. It feels like a finals atmosphere as you'll hear the eruption when the players walk in. Max Gawn, back in the Demon team, leads his Demons into the rooms. Yeah, it's a real holiday vibe down here. Everyone's happy and probably heading for a drink afterwards. The last of the Demons now coming in. Jake Lever, the last of them. Simon Goodwin right behind him. And for the 4th time this year, the Demons will get to sing their song. Some very happy team down here. I'll endeavour to get you a player soon, guys, and we'll be talking to you in a minute or so.
Good work down there as always. Tim Hodges in the rooms with the D's and plenty of their family and friends by the sounds of things as well, enjoying the spoils of victory after their win here tonight.
So just to finish off on the D's, they probably just wore them down in the end.
Yeah. Ground away.
Yeah, they did. They grinded away that entire match. And then you try to isolate the last quarter of what they did. And okay, Van Rooyen kicks his 3 goals in there, but Oliver has 9 possessions. Viney has 8. Stephen May finally comes into the game, 7 possessions, 3 intercepts. So they had a lot more of the ball in the last quarter, the D's, 92 to 76 in their favour. So it was a grinding match, but it was an exciting match. Like, the ball moved. It's not often that you see one team have 61 inside 50s and lose the game, and then the other have, 53. So the ball did go back and forth at speed.
Did they change anything in terms of the way they were going about it from sort of that mid part of the...
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
It's just
like, there was no...
wear them down.
If you looked at it, like, you're always looking for positional changes, or you're looking tactically, what are they trying to do? Are they throwing an extra behind the ball? Are they getting an extra up to the contest? But I don't think it was that type of game, really. It was like, okay, we're just going to... It's our team against your team. Here's what we're doing. Here's what you're doing. Who's going to come out on top?
I think Melbourne are a team that really back their system up, and they don't have to change too much. I never felt that they were out of the game, and I don't think they felt that they were out of the game either. 18 points at quarter time, 14 points at half time. It's not out of reach for Melbourne. They kicked 7 out of the last 8 goals, and I think they feel they can do that most weeks. Just hang in there for as long as we can. Our system will come out on top eventually if we play the way we want to play. So I don't think they get carried away and think they've got to change it all.
It sort of felt like Melbourne's defender had a pretty dirty start to the night, and then it slowly wrestled back. And in that last quarter, I don't know if the numbers will stack up, but it looked like Brodie Grundy spent a lot more time in the middle, and Max Gawn spent more time forward, which allowed Melbourne to have more options, and Richmond couldn't quite set up as well defensively.
The interesting part of this is Max Gawn's a better ruckman than Brodie Grundy, and Max Gawn's a better forward than Brodie Grundy. So, and that's to take absolutely nothing away from Brodie, because he's
Max Gawn a more dangerous player?
That's right. And I think in the last quarter, Simon Goodwin's gone, well, I think Max is more dangerous in our forward 50, because it then has Richmond's defence collapsing on Max, and does that allow Van Rooyen to kick those 3 goals? So that's sort of like, well, yeah, and like I said, it's taking... Brodie Grundy's a terrific footballer, but Max he's just a colossus.
And that's it's a great lesson for young footballers, and I hope they're listening or watching tonight for Van Rooyen.
Barely touched in the first three quarters.
Bugger all. He had 4 or 5 touches, and he comes out, and in the end, he kicks 3 goals and hits the scoreboard. As a forward, you're like a bowler in cricket, aren't you? You can have an off day and just get 1. 1 will get you 2, 2 will get you 3, and you end up having not a bad day. So I hope a lot of young players were watching tonight and seeing that and know that you can impact football in just 1 quarter.
It might not be your match, but it can always be your moment.
Absolutely, it can
Stay engaged.
Always in the game.
He did that brilliantly, and he looks like he'll be a heck of a player.
20 years of age from Western Australia. Goodness me, they made him earn his debut in 2023. But
I like
not
that.
a bad thing.
I love that,
especially as a key forward.
I look, and this is a conversation for another time. But there's some young players that are simply gifted games when they're just not ready. They're absolutely not ready. So you bring a kid in that's ready to play AFL football. That's the result you can get.
Just an SMS we received earlier. Shea Bolton has a new very bad habit of taking a huge swinging kick at the loose ball and almost collected opponents on 2 occasions tonight, on top of the one he should have been reported for last week.
That's not a new habit.
Yeah,
that's been a few years now with Bolton.
And if he makes contact, it's going to end badly for him.
The interesting part for the Tigers is what they do with Martin and Bolton. Like, I don't think you can play those two in the midfield together. It's just a little bit unaccountable. So they're probably the two that they've got to swap. They're going to change on ball forward.
Let's go downstairs. Tim Hodges has a very special guest.
Ben, we're very lucky. We've drawn the captain, Max Gawn. Thank you for coming over straight out of the coaches' meeting to join us. Tell us about that game. It was a hard slog.
Yeah, it was. I said in the post-match I brought up a game in 2021. I don't know why I did that, but I remember in 2021 Richmond came out hot. It was like a quarter of genuine pressure, and we were expecting that again. Richmond at their best, they bring a lot of pressure, and they brought it for a quarter and a half, 2 quarters. To be fair, the third and fourth was pretty hot as well, and we just knew we had to weather that. We wanted to keep them to a bit of a lower score than what they got tonight, but footy changes things, and we had to reset at half-time and try and win a different way, and we did.
So were you confident you could just slowly but surely you could chase them down?
Yeah, we've played I dare say, maybe 5 quarters in a row of not our football. And when you see that second quarter, and I think we might have outscored them by a tiny bit, but certainly the momentum was coming our way a tiny bit more. That gives us a little bit of like, okay, our footy's coming back. Second half, we can go again. We back in that our fitness has been really good over the pre-season, and we had a feeling that we were maybe going to run them off.
How about you? How'd you finish the 4 quarters?
Yeah, I did well. I mean, it's handy having Brody. I certainly didn't ruck as much as what I normally do, but that's the roles that we got now. Brody's done really well in the ruck in the last 3 weeks, and he was feeling it out there tonight as well with a couple of grabs out of centre clearances and stuff like that. So I just let him stay in there and went forward for a bit. Thought I was going to get on the end of a couple late, but Rui sat on my head. So he's going well, the kid, Jacob. He had a quiet first 3 quarters, but he bounced up in the last.
It's awesome to have you a few minutes. I'll send you upstairs. Adam Ramanaskis and Brent Harvey.
Maxie, Boomer up here. Congratulations, mate. Fantastic win in the end. You mentioned yourself and having Brodie Grundy in the team. Is there a plan that happens every single week, or is it a little bit of, let's suck it and see? If I'm needed forward, I'll push forward a little bit more? Or do you just try to have a 50-50, 60-40 method?
The only thing that Goody does is he names whichever ruck's starting for the quarter, and then we sort of do what we want from then on. So, I mean, we get told to come to the bench, but apart from that, we can switch whenever we really want. And the feeling out there tonight was Brodie was rucking really well. And to be fair, I clunked a couple forward early and felt like staying forward for a tiny bit as well.
Maxie, it's Rama. Congratulations. Did you pencil this game in after obviously what happened in Brisbane? How hard did you push to make sure you were ready for tonight's game?
Well, initially I penciled in this game in 2024, but so I managed to get 12 months down to 6 weeks, and I got 6 weeks down to 4 weeks. So
how did you do that, Max? How did you get it down to 4 weeks?
It was always 4 to. I mean, if you quote 6 to 8, you always look good when you come back earlier. I just did my rehab as diligent as I could, and yeah, it felt really good tonight. It felt really good during the week.